Hoi. Jou foon was op data. Ek het nou jou data opgebruik. So ek moet jou reimburse om nog data vir jou te koop. En as I'm not online, and when I click on your phone on the data, it also says can't connect. So I've rescheduled for tomorrow. I'd figure what on earth's going on, because I told them because when I tried to connect on your phone, when I click on your, yeah, see it says Wi-Fi not connected, and if I click on that, yeah, my phone's connected, but on your phone it also said can't connect. So ek weet nie of ons connection net baie fucky is op die oomblik nie. Ja, sien, connection failed. Maar anyway, so ek het vir die mense gesê sorry. En ja, ek sal vir jou data koop dat jy nou, want jy's nou depleted. Ja, but I was streaming. So. Ja. Anyway. Well, Spoonie, Pulpy was struggling with his Australian internet a lot the other day as well. Kyk. Well, now I'm connected. For heaven's sake. Okay, hold on, my laptop connected. Are we back? Good Lord. Let me know if we're back. Hold on. Let me turn this on in the meantime. Can you hear me? What on earth is going on? Okay, so I was on my mom's data because her phone was also not connecting to the internet at all. So I've just used up all my mom's data, and I tried to connect to the Wi-Fi through her phone, and it said, can't connect to this network. And then I was like, okay, well, I'll reschedule the stream for tomorrow or Sunday. And when I came back to my laptop, it's connected now. And the stream was over and whatever. It was like, you can't send messages. This stream is over. We're done. And I'm like, okay, well, I'll just start a new stream. And then when I opened the tab, the stream is still going. So anyway, hello. I saw somebody asked about Andrea, you asked. I just tried sending a donation. It said it didn't go through, but I still got a receipt in my email. Did I get it? Let me look through here. I just see Diamond Lock Productions just typing out duck like five minutes. I don't see the super chat here, and it's not showing up in the revenue folder here. I don't see it here. I will check whether it's gone through in like the YouTube backend to see if it's there, but don't send another one, because even if I didn't get it, I'd rather you not send something twice, just on the off chance that it did go through. So if it's saying on your, no, I don't want to be on top chat, I want to be on live chat. If it's saying on your email that it went through, believe the email, because I would believe the email more than I would believe YouTube, quite frankly. And if it doesn't go through on my end, that's okay. It'll probably just bounce back to you eventually. Anyway, hello. Let me open up the chat on my phone again. Is this live? No, this is, here we go. I'm gonna go here. There we go. So heaven knows if this is going to be 2 videos or 1. I don't know what's going on anymore. You blame the squirrels? You know what's funny though? I watch a... You figured I deserved it for trying? Well, thank you. It's an absolute shit show of a stream. I know I'm only like a few minutes in, but frankly, I'm done. I'm done giving a hoot. You guys can all see, because I'm looking on my phone. I can see the stream is up and running again. So, okay, great. That's so strange though, because like I said, I was convinced that my driver had just died. But you know what? Sometimes you just have to stop trying to figure out what it is with technology. Sometimes asking questions causes more headaches than any answers that it solves. And it's best to just go, oh, okay, and move on with your life. So you left off on a trailer you got in from Wild Robot. I went to go see Wild Robot with my mom because we meant to go see Wicked. And I wanted to see The Wild Robot as well because it's directed by Chris Sanders, who I'm a big fan of. I like every movie he's worked on so far. Even The Croods, which I didn't think was a great movie, I still enjoyed it fine enough. It's not that it was bad, it just wasn't Lilo and Stitch, you know? So I wanted to go see Wild Robot, and when we got to the mall, which is in the next town over, they said to us, oh, it's going away on Thursday. So I was like, oh crap, I better buy tickets immediately. And my mom was like, yes, buy tickets. And my mom was under the impression that this was tickets for Wicked. And then afterwards I was like, no, I just bought us tickets for Wild Robot. And she was like, oh. So we were sitting in Wild Robot, and the trailer comes up for Mufasa. You know, the Lion King Mufasa, that horrendous tragedy that Disney is trying to get money from people from. And I audibly in the theater said out loud, oh no, like there wasn't anything even on screen yet. It was just the opening shot, and I saw horrendous monstrosity of live action Timon and Pumbaa on screen, and just the words oh no came out of my mouth. And my mom was like, what are you talking about? The trailer hasn't even started yet. And then it ended up being the live action Mufasa movie, and she was like, oh, okay. I understand the reaction now. The Wild Robot was very, very good. By the way, I was really, really happy with it. I think it's not one of Chris Sanders' best. I still think Lilo and Stitch is one of his best films. However, Wild Robot is a fantastic movie. The only problem I can say I have with it is I feel that it has some pacing issues in the beginning. But as the movie went on, I realized that the reason it has pacing issues at the start is because it's trying to get through certain parts of the story so it can get to events later on in the movie. And because of that reason, I was like, okay, fair enough. I can handle what felt like a rushed start. What on earth is going on here? I can handle what I felt was a rushed start because I really like where the story went afterwards. But apart from that, and it might not even be considered a pacing issue if I watch it a second time. It might be perfectly fine now that I know where it's going. But really, really solid movie. And it's been getting like 8 out of 10s on IMDb. I think on Letterboxd it's got like a 4 out of 5 as well. And I feel that score is justified. Really, really happy with that movie. Very happy with Chris Sanders' output with that one. And once again happy that DreamWorks is picking up the slack, as it were. Although it did mean I had to sit through 101 absolutely horrendous children movie trailers which I hate doing. I hate sitting through some of those children. I'm an animator, right? And I hate sitting through some of those because it's just so painful seeing some of the dreck that some studios will put out. Oh, he's got spines on his back as well. I always forget. Do that. Sorry, his silhouette is clear. There we go. And I like giving him a tail that's a little bit... I know he has a tail. I know that. But if you follow this curve and then go through this curve and then do that, it gives you like a really nice swoop here. A lot of this is going to be covered, obviously. But if you do that, it just kind of brings a nice harmony to the design overall. So I like doing that. Making it a little bit longer than it needs to be because of that reason. Anyway, The Wild Robot is very good. And I would have been happy if that was the only movie I saw last week. But also I saw Wicked, and Wicked just blows literally everything else out of the water. It's such a good movie. I'm so happy with it. Good morning from US West Coast. Just finished rewatching one of your My Adventures with Superman videos and had YouTube remind me you were streaming today. During the Ultimate Light Form today, it's like, yes, you also missed like this multiple technical difficulties in the stream just deciding to die and then miraculously reviving itself for apparently no reason. I don't know what's going on. Don't ask me to explain because I have no answers for you. Look Back looks gorgeous, but it sounds like a really rough watch. Oh, Andrea, let me tell you something. I don't speak about it on stream very often, but to be perfectly transparent, I suppose, last month in October, I lost one of my closest and longest friends that I've had. I've known them since like 2008, I believe. I was still at college when I met them. And they passed away last month. And then I saw the poster for Look Back. And I didn't know what Look Back was about. All I knew was it is an anime movie with very high scores, and it's about making manga. And I was like, oh, and the fact that it's like an hour long. It's not even 60 minutes. And I was like, oh, that sounds great. Let's watch that. So then I put the movie on, and I watched it. And the movie ends up being basically the mangaka Fujimoto, who did Chainsaw Man. It's basically him working through his grief of his friends who died during the Cure Annie arson attack. Like, that's essentially what the movie is about. It's about Fujimoto kind of processing those emotions, right? So I did not know this going into it. So to say that that movie was a rough watch is like the understatement of the year. I was absolutely destroyed by the end of that movie. And yet, I am so happy I watched it. It is a genuinely fantastic film. It is so good, and I highly, highly recommend it, provided you are aware of what it's about going into it. Because yes, it is a very rough watch. It's a very, very difficult thing to sit through. And yet, I'm very happy I watched it. I quite liked it quite a bit. That's one of those movies I wouldn't mind having on, like, physical media. Even though my country has this, like, vendetta against physical media. Am I on top chat or am I on live chat? Hold on. Live chat? How do I change this so that it goes to top live chat? Like, I don't want to see top messages. I want to see all messages. Chat filter. All messages. There we go. Okay. Sometimes YouTube will filter out, like, if people put, like, repeat emojis in a few messages, it'll filter out those messages if you're on top chat, which is annoying. Not a smile, this one. There we go. But yes, Look Back, very, very good. Highly recommend it. Just be aware of what you're putting yourself into, because it is very difficult to get through, especially if you're like me and didn't know what the contents of the film were going to be about. That was fun for me. I saw somebody mention Outlaw Star. Let me just see. CPAP, speaking of DreamWorks, have you seen The Bad Guys? The movie takes a ton of inspiration from Lupin the Third. I need to watch The Bad Guys. That's one that's like on my list quite highly. I have a friend who's also a big Lupin fan, and he was saying that I need to watch it, especially as a Lupin fan. It's basically got the vibe of Lupin the Third down. It knows exactly what its inspiration is, and I'm all for that. I'm actually really cool with that. Like I said very often in my videos, my problem is when a show or movie makes oblique references to other media, whereas taking inspirations from something, that's an entirely different conversation, right? And from what I heard, that's what The Bad Guys does. It doesn't go, hey, you guys remember Lupin the Third? It doesn't do that. What it does is it takes what the filmmakers liked about Lupin the Third and put it in a movie, essentially. I stopped just watching a reaction to A Silent Voice, and then again when I watched it, I don't react like that to movies, period. So if I watch Look Back, yeah, it's really, really like gripping, especially when you know like the backstory, because again, I didn't know what it was about going into it, and even not knowing what it was about, when it reaches a certain point in the movie, I was like, oh, this is about the KyoAni arson attack. It is very, very obviously about the KyoAni arson attack. It's very difficult to not realize that's what this point in the story is about. And that kind of made it also hit a lot harder, because it's essentially an artist communicating their feelings about a real world event, like something that actually happened. This is not the best crystal I've ever drawn. I might have to tweak this. But again, I actually do recommend the movie. I just would mention, be aware of what it is you are about to watch when you go into it. Because the other thing is, I don't normally lose my shit with many anime movies, because I do find that anime, hey 80-year-old man, I do find anime is better at emotional storytelling than a lot of Western animation is in some ways. However, anime has a big problem, which a few Western animated projects have, but anime has this problem a lot, where anime will sometimes dive headfirst into sentimentality to such a degree that it doesn't feel authentic. It doesn't feel like it's communicating an authentic emotion. It feels like something that was purposefully designed to make you cry. And it's not because what it's representing is actually emotional. It's been like cultivated in a laboratory to be something to make you cry. And when that happens, it feels so fake that it can't elicit an emotional response from me, just because I know that this isn't real. This is just you purposefully trying to create something that's overly sentimental, and that just doesn't work for me. And I see Rockstock is asking for an example in chat, and I don't know whether I should say, because I think if I say a specific anime, certain people might actually come after my blood. Because I sometimes find that with like really big fan favorites. And I guess I can just say, it's not that I think it's bad, I just find it extremely overly sentimental to a degree where it feels a little bit manufactured. And that is Anohana. Anohana is fine, but I had a lot of trouble basically taking it seriously, because Anohana felt like it was made to make people cry, and not it wasn't made to tell it. That's the thing. Sorry, I just realized what I meant by that. It wasn't made to elicit emotions from you. It wasn't made to make you feel an emotion. It was made to make you cry, and those are two very different things. There's a very big world of difference between it wanted you to feel an emotion and, oh, it wanted to make you cry. And I felt that Anohana is very much the latter, where it's not trying to basically explore an emotion or take you through an emotional journey. It's designed to make you cry at the end of it. And that's like the easiest way to get me to check out of a movie emotionally, is when I feel like I'm being purposefully manipulated by the filmmakers in a way that's like inauthentic. And Anohana just gives me that vibe. And it's rough because I know that that's a series that a lot of people get very angry about me saying that because people have such an emotional connection with that one. And I understand that. And I'm not taking that away from them. I'm just saying that that was my experience with it. I found it vastly overly sentimental. So that's one. People are asking Anohana. Anohana, what's its full title? Its English title is, it's got one of those ridiculous names. It's, we still don't know the name of that flower, of the flower we saw that day. That is the English title. And Anohana is its shortened title. I can't remember what the full Japanese title is right now. But essentially, it's about the group of friends whose childhood friend died when they were all very young. And then they come back a certain amount of years later when they're all older to the same place they used to play at when they were all children, and her ghost is there and only one of them can see her. The flower we saw that day, yes. It's that one. If you know what I'm talking about, it's that one. And I just found it overly sentimental and in a way that felt inauthentic. And that might just be a skill issue on my part. Another filmmaker who tends to do this a lot is the guy, he made the movie The Place Promised in Our Early Days. Place Promised in Our Early Days isn't that bad. It is a little overly sentimental, but it's not really terrible in that sense. But I find some of his other movies really go overboard with the sentimentality. But Look Back is not one of those movies. Look Back feels like an honest expression of somebody's grief that they're kind of processing and working through. It felt like an honest expression of a real emotion, and that's kind of why it got to me. I've had this issue with a lot of Doctor Who revival personally. I can see that. And I think somebody mentioned Pixar. If I recall, Pixar movies are given the same meme of manufactured to make you cry. I think that's true. I actually wondered whether I should do a video about something I call the Pixar problem, which is essentially Pixar put themselves in this box where they are known as the studio that's going to make you cry. And because that's what everybody expects of them, they found themselves in this bubble where they had to purposefully make movies to make you cry because that is the reputation that everybody expects from them. And now they have to reach that expectation. And anytime they make a movie that doesn't make you sob your eyes out, it's considered not as good as their other films. And I believe that's the problem they had with Lucas, because people were like, oh, Lucas is fine, but it's not as good as Coco. It's not, although is Coco is Pixar. Is Coco Pixar or Disney? I think Coco is Pixar. But people would be like, oh, Lucas is fine, but it's not Up. It's not Coco. And I'm like, yeah, but it doesn't have to be. Not every single movie needs to be Coco or Up. Anime movies really like having weird titles like that. Reminds me of this anime movie I saw called The Tunnel to Summer, The Exit of Goodbyes. Yeah, there's one that came out recently that's literally called I Want to Eat Your Pancreas. And it's about a girl with pancreatic cancer and a boy befriending her even though she's terminally ill. And Coco is Pixar? Okay, yeah, I thought so. I was just kind of doubting my own knowledge there for a second. I Want to Eat Your Pancreas is about a girl with terminal pancreatic cancer and a boy who's like the only one who knows about it. And like they become friends, etc., etc. But yeah, it's got that title. I heard somebody say the reason why they do that is because the publishing companies have this weird concept that people don't read blurbs on the back of books. So they make the title of the light novels and manga ridiculously long because they essentially make the blurb on the back of the book the title of the book. Even though it's been proven that light novels with shorter titles are still some of the most popular. So it just sounds like one of those things that, that publishing companies decided and then enacted upon that decision they made. It's kind of like when the entire video game industry in the early 2000s decided that nobody plays horror games anymore. Kind of same thing. We're not going to make horror games because nobody plays horror games anymore. And then Amnesia came out and like completely changed the gaming landscape. Coco from Foster's Home from Imaginary Friends. No. Coco as in the Pixar movie. What people are yelling at Jim Jim? Why are people yelling at Jim Jim? No, hey, it's the thing I just said. Emotional story about girl that is dying of cancer and only guy befriends. Yeah, that's I Want to Eat Your Pancreas. Yeah, that's essentially it. I find that one. I haven't watched it, but from the description, it sounds like it might fall into a similar vein as Anohana, where it's purposely made to make you like cry and be upset. But it depends. It might not be. Look Back didn't give me that impression. Like I said, Look Back just genuinely felt like a true expression of like grief and trying to process those emotions, which is why it hit me so hard. But I can't speak on a movie I haven't seen. So I will say that the title is very silly. And it's annoying because the title is purposefully silly because it's supposed to make you go, what the hell could this movie be about? Like that's why they titled it that way. Even if the Japanese title isn't that silly sounding, the translation then were the ones who decided to make it sound like that. Although I believe the translation is pretty accurate. Anyway, so that's my hot take of the day. Is my biggest turn off. The easiest way to get me to just completely check out of a story is to have manufactured sentimentality to it, or any kind of like inauthenticity. That's when you lose me, is when I can feel you're purposefully doing something for no other reason than to manipulate the audience. Then I just lose all patience with a story of any kind. Doesn't matter what it is, whether it's a game or a TV show or a movie. I check out mentally, and then my inner critic starts talking instead, because I have to entertain myself somehow. And I'm like, well, if I can't emotionally engage with this movie or TV show or whatever, I can at least look at it critically. And when a movie or TV show gets that part of my brain to switch off, where I'm not thinking about it critically, that's when I know it's a truly good story. Because I will often catch myself, I'm like, I'm not even like thinking about the technicalities of this movie or TV show. I'm just enjoying myself. And that in of itself is an extreme mark. It's like, it's something you can put on the poster. Is it made CPUF turn off her inner critic. The isekai titles make me want to die. Yeah. I think it's because one of them started doing the title thing, and then if all of them started doing the title thing. Let's see, do I need to use my curve tool to get this curve properly? Let's see if I can do it without it. Yep. There we go. Andrea. Hope CPUF can make review of Little Mermaid. Yeah, that one is rough. I've said this many times. I do plan on doing it one day. But because that's my favorite Disney movie, mostly out of nostalgia, let's be honest, I have so much to say about it that I kind of intimidated myself out of working on it. Because there's just so much I want to say about it. And as the Magnifico video has taught me, even if it's something I think I don't have much to say on it, it turns out, no, I have a lot to say on it. I think I won't have much content to work with, and then I just can't stop talking. I think the Magnifico video will be good though. I'm hoping to get it out in December, if for no other reason than December is a very good month for ad revenue. So if I can get that out in December, that would be cool. Because January is not a very good month for ad revenue. But I'm going to put it out when I'm able to do it. I accidentally double booked my animation projects last month, this month, whichever, where I was signed up for one project with one studio, and then I had another studio lined up afterwards. And then the one project with one studio ended up going longer than expected, and the other studio's project ended up starting earlier than expected. So last week, this was why I wanted this weekend off. Last week, I was essentially working 2 animation jobs back to back, and I had to put in overtime over the weekend just to like hit my deadlines. It was really bad. I was so tired. And then I had to try and find time to watch The Wild Robot because it was going out of theaters and I wanted to see it. And then I had to go see Wicked, which I was very happy I did, but it also ate into my time. So this weekend I was like, enough. I'm streaming on Friday and then I'm taking the weekend off. Otherwise I'm genuinely going to die. Andrea says, I lost one of my childhood friends to cancer. I'm very sorry to hear that. I'd fallen out of touch with her for a long time, but it hit me hard, and some stories are hard to watch. Yes, in that case, I would caution watching Look Back. Because again, if I knew what the contents of that movie was, I probably would not have watched it. Just because I was not in an emotional place ready to watch that. And yet, like I said, I'm glad I did. It ended up being very, very cathartic to do so. But I kind of also wish that I had some warning of what the movie was about. Have you watched Goblin Slayer? I've not, mainly because, again, I take a long time to get to things, but also I heard Goblin Slayer got a lot of criticism for its content, which I'm not entirely sure how to take. Because one manga, I picked it up, I read quite a few chapters, and I need to get back to it, is Berserk. And I mean, if you know what the contents of Berserk, especially the manga, are like legendary in terms of how messed up they are. And yet Berserk is considered one of the greatest manga of all time. So I don't know whether the things I heard about Goblin Slayer are just people kind of upset with the content matter, or if the content matter that they're criticizing is just genuinely not done very well. But that's all I know about Goblin Slayer. All I know about Goblin Slayer is the controversy surrounding it. It's Andrea. How would my name be pronounced in Afrikaans? I go by the accent on the first syllable. Accent on the first syllable. Andrea? Is that how you would say it? Because in Afrikaans, it would just be Andrea. So I guess I am saying it the Afrikaans way. Yeah, Andrea. Yeah, that's how one would say it. There's a lot of essay. Yeah, that's what I heard about Goblin Slayer, is there's a lot of that. But then my question is, okay, but are people upset that that exists in the story, or are they upset because it's just done very badly? Because, I mean, Berserk. Yeah. Berserk is like in a category all of its own. I've heard stories of people in the 90s having to go to like their comic shops and having to ask for an issue of Berserk because they would keep it behind the counter because its contents were so upsetting and explicit that they essentially hid it so that it can't be accidentally found by anybody who shouldn't see it. Andrea? Oh, okay. So, Andrea. I think that's how you say it. I don't think whether Dana knows this, but I don't know if Dana is still in chat. I actually have a problem with Dana's name. I'm saying it Dana now because I know that's how it's supposed to be said, but it's like how I would say it is Dana. So I would like talk about my friend Dana, and it's like, no, it's Dana. And I'm like, yeah, but that's not that's the American pronunciation, and I'm not American. It's like how the Americans pronounced Tara. The way that the Americans pronounce Tara drives me insane. I'm like, where are you getting the E from? Why are you saying it Tara? There's not a single E in there. Oh, hey, Dana, there you are. Yeah, so the thing is with Dana is that we have a town very close to us called Dana Bay. Not to dox myself. Don't worry, it's the town next door. We have a town next to us called Dana Bay, and it's spelt exactly the same as your name. So, yeah, I would just say, oh, Dana. It's like, no, it's Dana. Pronunciations are dumb. One thing I like pretend getting outraged about, because it's not actually a big deal, is the fact that Americans say herb and they don't pronounce the H, and I don't understand why. It's like there's an H in there. Why aren't you pronouncing it? Goblin Slayer is quite good. Some of the points are tough, but I don't think they're done badly. Okay, interesting. Because like I said, that's one problem with kind of media criticism on the internet, is it's not that this is something unique to the internet, but it has allowed a lot of people to become very vocal about being upset with certain content being in a story at all. And then they will like decry that the thing is bad for the sole reason of it having that content in it. And that's just very annoying to me. It gets to the point of like prosecuting people for thought crime, where it's like, oh, this thing has upsetting topics in it. That means we have to condemn it and burn the books, and etc., etc. And I'm just like, you realize what path you're going down when you say that, right? So people's criticism of Goblin Slayer, I never knew whether it was actual complaints about the content, or if people are just upset that the content itself exists, right? Because there are anime where the content itself is not so much the problem, it's the method in which that content is used. Where some anime is just kind of terrible with certain content matter for no other reason than to be terrible. And they're not even made in like the 80s, where the hyper-violent anime that was made in the 80s is interesting to me purely on a historical level. Like, the reason why a lot of hyper-violent anime came out in the 80s is very interesting to me. But if it's like a modern anime, like, I don't even have that historical interest into why this is like this. It's just kind of upsetting and gross for the sake of it. Oddly enough, in Berserk, outside of that one infamous scene, there really isn't as much grape as people think. There is the scene, and then there are like 3 more moments when it gets close. I don't know, because I haven't gotten to the scene yet, and just Guts' backstory alone, which I won't go into detail here because it's upsetting and I don't want to get demonetized, but it's just a very upsetting backstory. I mean, that backstory, they show the backstory and it's highly upsetting and it's extremely graphic, and that's not even the scene. And I think just Guts' backstory existing, if Berserk wasn't as renowned as it is, I think that's something where a lot of people would have a lot of problems with it, just for existing, essentially. Oh yeah, I forgot about the backstory. That says a lot. When you have hey, Prophet of Puns, what did you miss? A bunch of technical issues. But that says something about Berserk, when you can have Guts' backstory be what it is, and then have people go, oh yeah, I forgot about that. That should tell you how bad it gets in Berserk. Berserk's really good though, it's so good. Guess what? CPUF's reattempted livestream has now lasted longer than her original attempt. Yes, don't say that too loudly though. Don't jinx it. That's the other thing, right? My internet connection dying on me, I was also kind of upset because I think I said this, I work remote and I have an international job that's quite high profile, and I cannot afford to contact the international studio and be like, hey, I'm sorry, but I'm going to be unable to deliver on my contract. That is a terrible, terrible position to be in. And because I have a bad habit of catastrophizing, that's like immediately where my mind went, which was like, oh Lord, what if I can't get it fixed by the time I have to be back at work? What part of South Africa would you say is best to visit? I would say the Western Cape. The Western Cape is the garden route. It is the most scenic of the country, and it is far safer than a lot of other areas in the country, especially if you go into the more rural areas, whereas the big cities are borderline no-go unless you have like somebody with you who's a local, just because it's so dangerous. So yeah, Western Cape, I would say. I wouldn't mind seeing Durban. I haven't been to Durban since I was a child. I would have to double check. All I would say is don't go to Durban or anywhere in South Africa that's coastal when it's Christmas time, because I live in a coastal town. It is almost Christmas time, and I had to go buy my lunch from the garage station because I couldn't find parking at the supermarket, because every single person across the country have all descended onto my town because it's a tourist town. So we're like all hiding in our house, unable to go out and buy milk because all the tourists are here. And I hear that Durban is like 1,000 times worse. Durban is also 1,000 times hotter because it's on the Indian Ocean. I'm going to have to flip this like this. There we go. There we go. So we flip this back. Okay. I'm not going to draw his stripes with the black ink. I'm going to do that purely with the colored lines. My boyfriend and I were planning to visit Namibia before COVID hit. Oh, Namibia is hot though. That's like the first thing that comes to mind is like, oh, the temperature though. Love Berserk. The scene that really sold me was Guts is essentially saying to a little girl, you can't go on KYS. After killing her father, that was a demon. He said that with no remorse. And then he turns around and tears up. That one moment adds so much character. Yeah, that's like in the very first chapter, I think. It's a very good introduction to the character. Again, Berserk is so good. I really need to like pick it back up. I can't remember why I put it down. There was like a specific reason, and it wasn't anything to do with Berserk itself. I think there was something that had my attention, and then I put Berserk down for a while, and I haven't gotten back to it yet. But I have that typical ADHD problem where I'll start something and be fully invested in it, and then I'll put it down literally for like a day, and then I won't touch it again for like months or years later. And it's not because I intend to do that. It's just, I don't know, it's something about the like behavior where that ends up happening. Have you watched Valve Series 2 yet? No, I saw that Valve put out a documentary on Half-Life 2 specifically for its 20th anniversary, and I want to watch that. And I saw that my Half-Life or Orange box, I didn't notice which one, on Steam updated today, so I'm curious as to what that's about. Oh, sorry, I tapped the mic. I had a hiccup, and then I wanted to tap my chest, and I tapped the mic. Speaking of Steam, the Steam sale is on. First and foremost, and most importantly, Mass Effect The Legendary Edition is on a 95% price cut on Steam at the moment. So if you want to get Mass Effect, or even if you don't want to get Mass Effect, go to Steam and buy it, because it's 92% off at the moment. So I bought some games on the Steam Black Friday sale, and what happened was, I was looking through what I wanted and what I wanted to get, etc. And I got Persona 4 Golden Edition, because it's the only version of Persona 4 I have is on PS2. So I got Persona 4 Golden Edition, I got Divinity Original Sin 1 and 2, and I got Psychonauts 2, and I upgraded Baldur's Gate 3 to the Deluxe Edition. And I was like, okay, cool. That is a good amount of games, and I got to throw some money at Larian. And that's good. I didn't break the bank. I didn't pay too much for it. That's all good and fine. And then I remembered, a few months ago, I asked on Tumblr, is Halo worth getting into if I didn't grow up with it? And everybody yelled at me. They're like, yes, play Halo. What's wrong with you? You definitely 100% need to play Halo. So I remembered, wait, I was meant to play Halo. And then I had a look, and Halo had like an 80% discount on it today. So I ended up spending a lot more money than I intended to on this Black Friday sale, because of course I had to get Halo because I'm not paying full price for it. It's far too expensive to get the full priced version, but it is a game that I've been curious about on whether or not I'd like it. So that's my story about the Steam sale. Have you watched Mega Lemure Co. Limited? It's the perfect satire of magical girls and small businesses. I have not. I'll have to check that out. That seems to be the direction that a lot of modern magical girls are going in, is where they kind of tie it into corporations. Because I saw Magical Girl Dandelion is also doing that, where Magical Girl Dandelion also has a lot to do with the, I guess, capitalist, what would you call it? Corruption. The capitalist corruption of magical girls. That seems to be a thing I'm seeing more and more, which I'm not against or anything. It's just a pattern I'm noticing. And it's quite prevalent in Magical Girl Dandelion. which I hope Magical Girl Dandelion gets better. It's not bad. It's just quite average so far. It's got so much potential though. And I actually really like the designs of the outfit that she wears. So I really want the manga to actually get good instead of just kind of being mid, because it has so much potential to be really, really good. But then I saw, and this is where my bones crumble to dust, I saw that the mangaka on Twitter for Magical Girl Dandelion is like 22 years old. And I'm like, ugh, that's not fair. But it also kind of explains why a lot of Magical Girl Dandelion feels a little bit mid. It's because its writer is so young and they're still kind of figuring out how to be a mangaka. So I have endless respect for Magical Girl Dandelion as a result. Just because I'm like, dude, if this is your manga that you're making and writing and drawing at age 22, that's insane. And like I said, I just hope it gets very, very good because I enjoy it so far. I just want it to be better than it is at the moment because its major problem is pacing. It has pacing problems, but I like the concept and I like the visuals. And I like the plot, and I like how it kind of plays with the entire concept, and I like the idea of the corporization of Magic Girls. I thought all of that was pretty cool. Can't wait for you to play Psychonauts 2. I have a poster of Sasha and Mila in my room. Love those games so much. I played the first Psychonauts many, many years ago. I really quite liked it. And Psychonauts 2 is also on a ridiculous sale today. So I just grabbed it because it's literally cheaper at the moment than a bar of chocolate would cost me. And I'm like, dude, if you can afford to buy a slab of chocolate for this price, what excuse do you have for not getting Psychonauts 2? That's ridiculous. If you want to play a retro game, The Thing VG is getting a remaster, which is supposed to be a very underrated game. Is that the game that Spoonie played like 1,000 years ago? Is that the one that Spoonie lost his mind to because it was so insane? I'm wondering if it's the same game or if that was a different Thing game. The Capitalist Destruction of Magical Girls sounds like a hype song title. Yeah, sure, you could use that. I recently bought a PS5 and now I'm saving up for Baldur's Gate 3, and when... Oh, this little heart that's in the way. Hold on, let me switch to my desktop. I recently bought a PS5 and I'm now saving up for Baldur's Gate 3, and when this swamp engulfs me, I will blame you because it's you who interested me in this game. Good. Let it consume you. Never play anything else ever again. I think I've got like 400 hours on that game now, which I know is like small fry for a lot of people, but you must understand, I think I have 400 hours in Mass Effect in the entirety of my life. Whereas Baldur's Gate 3, I've played it 1.5 times and I've got like 400 hours. I'm creeping up on 5. And I plan to play through as Dirge, which is an entire new campaign. I haven't even played that yet. And Larian is going to introduce photo mode next year. So, of course, there goes the rest of my life. Just going to be taking photos for 10 hours straight. I already spent 10 hours in that game, like, just dressing up the characters because I've got the color mod that lets you dye the clothing. So I'll just sit there. I think like 10 hours of the game is just me swapping colors on characters, trying to see what looks the best on them. Now you're going to introduce photo mode? Are you joking? Do you know how much photo mode ruined my life when I replayed Mass Effect? That was like the majority of my playtime, is just taking photos. Oh lord. Anyway, I like Baldur's Gate 3 a lot. It's an absolute ridiculous game that I can't believe exists. And my friend, she was the one who told me to get into Baldur's Gate 3, so this is her fault. She's very big into Divinity Original Sin, which is, I believe it's also Larian. So I just bought those. So when I finally one day burn out on Baldur's Gate 3, I've got something new to completely consume my life. So that's good. Okay, HJ Fies. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly, but I see they're saying goodbye. So thanks for hanging around for the horrendous tech issues. And thanks for stopping by. I really wish that BG3 is a wake-up call for studios like Bethesda. The bar has been raised. Dude, so many people are so angry at the quality that Larian put out and for the price they asked for it. Like, the price of that game is also ridiculous. It is peanuts what they're asking for that game. I don't want to get into, like, the entire discussion because I've purposefully been avoiding it just because I have zero interest in engaging in, like, petty internet fights. But I did see that, I don't want to say BioWare because it's not really BioWare so much as the people in BioWare. The people who were at BioWare when they were BioWare are no longer there. It's new people working there now. And apparently from what my friends have been telling me, they're like throwing tantrums on Twitter because people didn't like Veilguard. And they're like blaming it on political brain rot terms that I'm so disinterested in. And yeah, I'm just sitting here and I said to my friend, I'm like, I'm just going to continue playing Baldur's Gate 3 and like avoid that headache because I'm not interested in getting into the online arguments. I mean, if you've watched my videos, you are aware that that is my least favorite thing to engage with, is the stupid petty arguments. My concern is always, oh, I know I'm not leaving. I was joking about us never seeing you again with that game. Oh, okay. You know what? Fair. Fair. I also made a horrendous decision earlier this month. I got RimWorld. I don't know why I got RimWorld. This was a horrible decision in retrospect. But that's another one. So yes, you people should be grateful I'm even showing up for you. No, I'm joking. My point is, just to backtrack, I am so disinterested in the online fighting as to what the agenda was for why people liked or disliked something. I'm like, dude, I'm interested in whether the thing was good or not. And I'm not even interested in arguing with you about the fact that that's what I care about. I'm just not interested in arguing because there's literally no point to it. So I've just kind of been avoiding the discussion. I'm going to play Baldur's Gate 3. It's a shame that Veilguard is very bad for a multitude of reasons. From what I've heard, the writing is subpar. There are large sections of the lore and world building that they've just literally thrown away. Apparently, they don't even mention Red Lyrium. They mention Red Lyrium with like a sword, and then it's never brought up again throughout the entire game. So that's a choice. Apparently, Ferelden is destroyed in Veilguard, so you know, fuck anything you did in Inquisition. Orlais is destroyed in Veilguard, so you go, no, again, fuck anything you did in Inquisition. If you had like any emotional investment in the previous game, like, screw you, we've destroyed it all. And yet, even though we're in Tevinter, there isn't one mention throughout the entire game, apparently, to do with like the slave trade or like the culture of slavery that exists in Tevinter. They just don't have that in the game. It just doesn't exist. And that alone made me just go, ugh. So you don't actually care about Dragon Age. You don't actually care about the setting. You don't actually care about the lore. You're not interested in Dragon Age as it exists. What you have is you had a story and you had super cool OCs and you couldn't get anybody to greenlight a story about them. So you've basically grafted them onto Dragon Age and written cringy dialogue. And you essentially treat Dragon Age with a level of contempt because you're upset that you couldn't tell your story the way you wanted to and essentially had to resort to piggybacking on a franchise. And then I'm just like, okay, well, if that's the situation, I'm just going to play Baldur's Gate 3 because I love Dragon Age, but if something isn't Dragon Age, I'm not going to play it, essentially. Time for cannibalism, slavery, and war crimes. RimWorld forever. Yeah. RimWorld's very good. Of course, though, I have this disease where I'm incapable of being mean in video games. I always have to be, like, nice. I can't handle being mean to fictional video game characters. So I'm suffering in RimWorld because I don't want to do bad things like cannibalism and all of that. I just don't want to do it. I feel like I can never judge if anything is bad because my taste seems to be all over the place. And I know I tend to like objectively flawed things. That's fine though, Dana, because what I found with Dana specifically is Dana and a lot of people like things that may be objectively not good, but they have legitimate reasons for why. My issue, I feel, is when people just accept slop and don't really care about the quality of it, and they just accept the slop. Whereas with Dana, when Dana speaks to me about the things that they enjoy, which might not be the best, most artistic media in the world, Dana has like interesting opinions as to why she likes or dislikes something. And I think that's true of many people. And I said it earlier in the stream. There's a very good quote I once saw on Tumblr that said, a movie doesn't have to be good for it to be good. And I think that's very true. Because some movies, and I'm not talking so bad it's good, I'm talking about a movie that is not attempting to be this grand discussion about the human condition. It's just trying to be a movie. And I'm not talking about slop that Hollywood puts out. I just mean a movie that's just kind of its own thing. And it's not fantastic, but for some reason it just hits you in a certain way where you find yourself unable to dislike it, even though you're like, I know this isn't very good, but something about it is hitting right for me. And Dana is one of those people that is just kind of willing to accept that and be like, yeah, I like it. So what? You know? And I think that that's honestly a fine way to be. It's just be like, well, I don't know, I just like it. And you have people who will argue with you and scream at you and say, don't you have standards, etc. But the thing is, not everything you like is slop. So it's fine, you know what I mean? I see Andrea is saying, I'm of the mind that even if something is bad but brings you some type of joy, can it really be bad? Okay, I need a new fandom since I stopped watching and reading Marvel because I don't like the direction they're going. I think my mom encouraged me to like that sort of thing. I remember watching Xanadu with her when I was about 12. And then Dr. Fate says, and I stopped watching Doctor Who when Jodie Whittaker said this fandom wasn't for people like me. That I can understand though. But I think Doctor Who is a good example. I'm not the biggest fan of Doctor Who, but it's because I've only seen the first season of New Who. And I think the kind of person I am, I would really enjoy the older seasons a lot more just because I really enjoy that kind of camp. But there were things about New Who that I did like. And even though I felt that it wasn't great, I could recognize why people would like it. And I think the reasons why people like it are perfectly valid. And like I said, sometimes something doesn't have to be great for it to be good. Dana's just saying thanks. Yeah, I'm mentioning your name a lot, but I'm just saying it's a good example of what you're talking about because I think a lot of people are like that. And I think it's fine. It's a lot better to be like, listen, this isn't spectacular, but I like it, you know, than somebody who like tries to essentially build what they like based on what is considered highbrow. I mean, that's just kind of lame in a certain way. It's very pretentious and it gets annoying. Whereas if you're like, listen, I've got good taste, but this is a piece of trash that I really like. Somebody mentioned Xanadu. That's a good example. Xanadu is not a good movie, but Xanadu, if it hits you correctly, is highly enjoyable. And I don't know whether I would still like it, but for the longest time, I quite liked Howard the Duck. And that's a bad movie. That is like a horrendously bad movie, make no mistake. But I liked Howard the Duck because I liked the gritty New York setting, which Ninja Turtles, the movie, kind of had, but I felt was much more prevalent in Howard the Duck, even though I don't think it takes place in New York. But you know what I mean, it's got that style to it. And that's just the kind of style I really like. And that was part of the reason I really enjoyed it. But I haven't seen it in many years, and it's very possible I'd watch it now and I'd be like, what the hell is wrong with me? Why did I like this? Zardoz is another one, but I'm one of those people who will die on the hill that Zardoz is actually a great movie. Zardoz is an insane movie, and if you say I watched it and I hate it, I can't argue with you. Because if you hate that movie, you're right, you're 100% correct, but I am still somebody who will like advocate for that movie secretly being brilliant. But I suppose that's one example. I'm not going to sit here and pretend that I think Zardoz is cringe when I actually think Zardoz is kind of awesome. I think it's really good. I like the Country Bears movie. Christopher Walken was hilarious. Yeah. And what was my friend talking about? I had a friend who also had something where they were discussing just genuinely liking it and being fully aware that it's not good, but they like it and they can't stop themselves from liking it. I forget who it was. It might have been Tina's, but it might have been my other friend. I'm not entirely sure, and I'm not going to misquote them. So I'll just say that this is the kind of thing I really like talking to people about. Is yes, you have the objective, analytical side of understanding media, but I really enjoy hearing people talk about things that they like, even though the product isn't perfect, and hearing them articulate what it is about it that they really enjoy. Because I find that to be a really, really interesting topic, and it kind of helps you to just kind of get out of your own head and stop thinking about media and films in this black and white concept of, oh, well, this is a good movie and this is a bad movie, right? And that's why generally I tend to criticize what I refer to as Hollywood slop, which to me is completely soulless and I have zero interest in it whatsoever. Is this, okay, this music's still going fine. Oops, resize the window, size it back. I have so much more respect for a movie that's bad and not very good than I have for a movie that's kind of just mediocre and it's put out by a massive studio in Hollywood and its only purpose is to make money and sell merchandise. That to me is far less interesting than a movie that's not good, but somebody really likes it so they want to talk about it. The era of William Hartnell is the best era of Doctor Who. This is classic sci-fi in its purest form. The other part of Doctor Who I want to look into is when Douglas Adams was writing for it. I don't know anything about those episodes, but I like Douglas Adams, and I would like to see his writing on Doctor Who. That is my only reason for it. I usually worry about whether or not I should something certain piece of media. Most of it due to wording that I'm just encouraging low quality product. Oh, I see what you mean. I guess so, but I think that only really becomes a problem when it comes to currently released media. And it sounds weird, but I find that when enough time goes by, you can essentially like what you like because it has absolutely zero impact on current production of media. So I don't know, it's a difficult topic, right? Because on the one hand, you don't want to be too apologetic for liking what you like. But on the other hand, if it starts coming down to the encouragement of poor product build, what's the word I'm looking for? The production of poor product from Hollywood, that is a discussion. Like, is it okay to kind of just consume what's being put in front of me because you are sending the message that you are content with a lower level of production? And I think that's an entire discussion in of itself. And I'm not entirely sure whether that goes too much into the marketing side of the business, which I have zero head for marketing. Obviously, by my preference in the things I watch, I am somebody who should never be allowed near any kind of marketing because I like stupid artsy nonsense, which does not sell very well. He was there for a bit of the fourth Doctor era. City of Death was the best story he did. Oh, okay, cool. That's good to know. Isn't the fourth Doctor, I believe he's also like a low-key fan favorite, like a cult fan favorite, if that makes sense. He's not like one of the big, massive fan favorites, but he's one of those where the people who are fans of his are like die-hard fans of his. The fourth Doctor, I mean. Would you ever do a breakdown of Sword Art Online in style, or does Velma or High God in spice? You're asking jokingly. Nah, I don't think so, because I find that Sword Art Online is painfully uninteresting to me, because it's so what it is. It is a power fantasy for gamer dudes, and that is the entire structure of the entire anime. And it's not to say that's a good thing or a bad thing. It's just there's not much to discuss there, right? Once you... it was made to be a power fantasy, and that's the only purpose and focus it has as a piece of media, to be that power fantasy. And there's not much I can say about it. The best I can say is trying to discuss whether or not it's a successful power fantasy, and I'm not the target audience. So it's a little difficult to be like, does this do for me what it's trying to set out to do when I'm not the target it's trying to hit? It's a difficult discussion. I have a friend who is an absolute diehard fan of Sword Art Online, but she watches like an obscene amount of anime. She watches like 1,000 series per year, and she quite likes Sword Art Online. But I don't know. I find it a little bit too much of a poster child for the isekai genre, in that it is the most stock standard kind of isekai you could imagine, right? And inherently, I don't find isekai interesting unless it's got something specific going for it. Like, the only modern isekai I really enjoyed was Slime. The full title is, that time I got reincarnated as a slime. That one is really good, up until you get through the last few episodes in the first season, and then it kind of takes a hard left into a side quest, which was never important and is now suddenly the main plot, which is very strange to me. I don't know if that's a pacing issue coming from the light novel, or if that's a pacing issue that became a pacing issue due to the anime. But that one I quite liked up until that point. And the best isekai, in my book, in my opinion, is still Visions of Escaflowne from 1995. I've yet to see a modern isekai really surpass Escaflowne. And again, I am biased, I admit this, because Escaflowne was made in 1995, so it's got a specific aesthetic to it. It's got a specific way that anime was being made at the time that makes it attractive to me. So it's also very difficult for modern anime to compete with something that is smack dab in an aesthetic that I'm automatically biased towards. And then it's not helped by the fact that Escaflowne is very, very good. Oh, happy birthday, if HJ Fires, or are you trolling me again? Have you tried Overlord? That one's pretty interesting. I have not. A1's anime adaptation turned it to a power fantasy due to butchering the MC via removing his inner monologues and adding their own BS to it. That turned it to the version everyone dunks on. I'm guessing you mean Sword Art Online. And yeah, I can see that. The problem is though, and this is what's annoying, is, well, it worked, right? What is this line? Was this an accidental line that I made? When did I make this? Oh, well, it doesn't matter. I'll just leave it there, I guess. But yes, the annoying thing is it worked, because look at how popular Sword Art Online became. Look at how marketable it became. That's the annoying part, right? It's kind of like the live-action Lion King. When we saw the trailer in theaters, my mom said to me, she doesn't understand why people want to watch it because it looks so off-putting to her. And I said to her, well, nobody liked the original either based on the way it looked. Everybody would dunked on that movie looking horrible. The problem is that movie still made over $1 billion. And so it doesn't matter how much people clowned on the way it looked, it made all that money. And Sword Art Online kind of has the same thing. Even though it may have butchered the story, as you said, it still made an obscene amount of money. So that's the core problem, isn't it? Hipster warning. For me, no isekai will ever top El Hazard. Oh, I know about El Hazard. I still need to watch it, but I'm very aware of it. But you probably have the same opinion then with El Hazard that I have with Escaflowne for like the same reason. What are your thoughts on Dan Dan Dan? I need to watch it. It's on my Netflix list. I don't know, has the full season aired yet, or is it still coming out like episode per episode? Because if the full season has come out, I can probably just binge it in 1 weekend or so, because I think it's probably going to be a limited series. It's not going to be like a massive anime, or maybe it will, I don't know. Because Dungeon Meshi ended up being like 20 episodes, and we're still going to get more episodes of that. I think it's just currently in production. There we go. Do that. I need to grab a drink of water. Where is my water bottle? Oh, there it is. Grab this. It actually is your birthday. Okay, well in that case, happy birthday. There we go. The Dan 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 intro goes hard. What is the anime that has the, I think it's an intro, or it might be the outro by Creepy Nuts, because I hate that song. I hate it so much. It's so annoying to me. But I don't think that's Dan Dan Dan. I think that's something else. Now I want to do his stripes. I'm going to grab this red here. There we go. The full season isn't out yet. I found that out the hard way. I was upset when I ended my binge at episode 7 and no one told me it wasn't finished. Ah, okay. No, I can't do it that way. That's good to know at least. So even if I get into it, I can check whether the full season is out. But if not, then I can just kind of be prepared for it. Because I started watching Brigadoon, which I really, really liked, despite some questionable parts of it. But I'm like 15 episodes into it, and then I just put it down and started watching something else for literally no reason. I don't know why, and I haven't gotten back to it yet. I wish I could explain why I do that, but I genuinely don't have an explanation. I don't know what it is that makes me start watching something, get really, really into it, and then at some point I go, okay, I'm going to watch this just to shake it up. And then I don't get back to the original thing. I don't know what it is that triggers that, because it's exceptionally annoying, because I feel like I have to explain to people that behavior and I have no explanation for it. It's just something that happens and I have no control over it, and it's very annoying. And then people think you're just not interested, and you're like, no, dude, I am super interested. I just have this disease that makes me not finish things or take like 1,000 years to get to things. Don't get me wrong, I love Escaflowne too. It's so good. Escaflowne is so good, guys. If you haven't seen Visions of Escaflowne, I highly recommend that. It has a weird pacing to it. I'm talking about pacing a lot today. But Escaflowne has a weird pacing to it, but it's because it was originally meant to be like much longer than it actually is. And when it got greenlit, if I remember correctly, they said they wanted one number of episodes, and then they said, no, we actually want fewer than that. So a lot of the story had to get condensed down. And as a result, a lot of it goes very quickly, because they have to cover a lot of ground in the plot to fit it into the amount of episodes they had. And I've seen people say they actually really like it, and they really like that the pacing is the way it is. But I remember watching it the first time being very confused as to why the pacing was like that. And that's why I know this, is because I looked it up, because I was like, there has to be an explanation for why this is like this. And turns out there was. I agree with 80-year-old man. The intro absolutely goes hard. I don't normally listen to anime opening on their own, but I've been listening to Dan 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 on repeat for weeks. I have to check it out then. I actually recently subbed to Nicholas Like TV. He's a bit of a chop, but he is a lot of fun to watch. And I know that he lost his mind to the Dan 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 intro. Let's cut this one as well. And I have to put the stripes on the arms. Heavens forbid I forget that. I was rereading the encyclopedia of Jack Kirby's work and found this short quote, "I've never done anything half-heartedly. It's a disservice to me and the audience if I do it half-heartedly." Yeah, that's a good quote. That's like a good way to put it. But I do also understand that sometimes you have a job to do and you kind of just have to do the job. Was gone for a while. What have I missed? Not sure. We are mainly talking about my inability to just sit down and finish things. And I don't know why that keeps happening. And people are saying I need to check out Dun 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 on Netflix, which a lot of people have said is very, very good. Meanwhile, I've just been sitting here watching Columbo for the past month or so. It's very good, by the way. Columbo is very good. I'm really enjoying it. I haven't watched it before. It's really, really entertaining. It's one of those shows that, like, I don't know if I can even say it holds up. I think it holds up, but because I have this interest in, like, eras, especially when it comes to television and movies, I really enjoy watching Columbo because of when it was made, which is like 1971. And it's just very, very interesting for me to look at it from like a technological aspect and like understanding the time period and the film industry and TV industry of when it was made. Like all of that is also very interesting to me. So I'm maybe getting a little bit more out of it than what was intended, but genuinely entertaining show. And I feel it holds up, although it might only hold up for me and nobody else. There we go. You have the same inability? Yeah, it's annoying because people think you're just not interested. And it's like, I am genuinely interested. I can't explain to you why I just stop watching things. Let me just see how do these stripes on his arms work? They just kind of taper off, I suppose. Yeah, it looks like the stripes on his arms, they just kind of taper off into nothingness. So I suppose that's what I'll do here. Just kind of make it come from the back here like that. There we go. I don't think he has... Yeah, he doesn't have any red stripes on his back spines. So I think that's all the flat color. Oh, and I need to do the emerald. Out of curiosity, have you seen the video Columbo solves the Kira case? I have not. I've seen the I thought it was AI, but turns out it's just very good voice acting. I saw I have to send you to the Columbo dimension short, which is very funny. One of my friends sent that to me on Discord because I said I was watching Columbo. So I've seen that. I've seen A Dog Named Dog, which is a song. It's not even a music video. It's a full-on song that somebody wrote. And I've seen like various Columbo memes and stuff like that. The thing is also, because I don't want any of the things spoiled for me, I'm very careful with looking up stuff. Because I am worried it's going to like spoil like the best episode of the TV series and then some random meme spoiled it for me. I've never watched Columbo, but I actually love ER for that reason. Oh yeah, that makes sense. I don't think I'd be into ER, but I would imagine it's similar. Speaking of which, I need to get back to the X-Files as well. That's another one I was really enjoying. But that one I actually know why I put it down. I'm in season 2, and I got to the point where Sully disappeared. I can't even remember why. She disappeared for a while, and then I think like 2 or 3 episodes was Mulder just kind of like angsting over finding her again, and it got very boring for me very fast. So I put it down. Fruits Basket is a series where the remake surpasses the original anime. It really happens. Yeah, I need to watch the remake. I have seen the original. I just need to see the remake. I quite like the original. It's one of those reverse harem stories that actually has a story where it's not just like wish fulfillment. Which, again, it's not that reverse harem stories are bad per se, it's just that they don't... I'm not the clientele. Because it takes a lot more than just romance for romance's sake for me to be interested. And Fruits Basket is one of those anime where there is a lot going on, so it's like really interesting. Okay, his shadow doesn't have too much that really needs shading. So I'll put some shading on the white, and I might put some highlights on the black, but I don't want to overwork this. Oh, you know what I should do first? I should do the eyes first. Do this, do this, do this. Oopsie, no, that's... There we go. grab that. Bring this here. Are we going Sonic 3? Yeah, people were asking for a Shadow, so we're drawing Shadow in between all the technical difficulties. But somehow we survived long enough to get it done. That's the other thing. I was saying to my mom about the live-action Snow White while we were at the movies. But I thought that Snow White was going to have to compete with Sonic 3 for audiences. But I see that Snow White is actually coming out in March. And I was trying to find out, unsuccessfully, whether March is considered a dump month, like February. If a movie comes out in February, you know that the people behind it have zero faith in the movie making money whatsoever. They're just dumping it out in February as basically a tax break. And I was trying to figure out whether that's the same for March, because it's such a strange window for Disney to release it in. And basically I'm trying to figure out whether Disney is trying to get the movie out and just be done with it, or if they're still deluded enough to think that that movie is going to be, like, successful, essentially. Slayers is amazing. I watched some of Slayers, but I struggled to get into it. But this was a lot of years ago, and I might feel completely differently about it now. So I don't think my opinion on Slayers is valid. Because when I say I watched it many years ago, I genuinely mean like a horrific amount of years ago. Like ancient Roman times. Like pre-Vesuvius is when I watched Slayers. And you must understand, when I was really, really young, I didn't like the Princess Bride. Like teenager me didn't like the Princess Bride. I don't know what was wrong with me. So there's a certain bracket where if I watched a movie around a certain time period, I'm like, well, whatever opinion I had of that movie back then isn't valid. Because I can't be trusted with my own film opinion, apparently, because there are certain movies I disliked because I had brainworms or something. Oh, thanks for the super chat, Jim. My life is a sad mess right now, but the stream is entertaining me, so thank you. You have the money. This is my first super chat ever. Hello. Hey, Jim, thank you so much. I'm sorry things sound like they're a real mood at the moment, but I'm glad that this train wreck of a stream is entertaining, at least. I'm joking, it's not actually that bad. I just hate technical issues, you know? It's so annoying, because I'm like, I'm trying to do a good job here. And I'm like annoying people because I'm not delivering the quality product that I hold myself to. And there's a thing to be said about like perfectionism, right? But also there is a level of, well, you want to treat your audience with respect. Luckily, it's something that was completely out of my control, so it's not like I can sit here and be like, oh, well, whatever, you know. Slayers Next is really good. Did you guys see that they're remaking Magical Knight Rayearth? I'm actually kind of interested in the remake. I never got very far with Magical Knight Rayearth, but it does have one of my favorite intro songs of all time. So just for that alone, I'm kind of excited for the remake. And I think it'd be cool to see the fantasy, what would you call it? Landscape? Environment? I'm interested in seeing that being done with like modern technology, because I think it could be very cool. So I'm tentatively excited for that one. Captain America is on its 5th reshoot? Is that what you're trying to say? I think you mean reshoot. Ugh. Let's do that. Rayearth is like ancient lore. Yeah. That's why I said I'm kind of interested to see what they do with it. I just really hope they don't mess up the art style, because the art style of Magical Knight Rayearth is so iconic. It's not even of its time. It's just Clamp. It doesn't look like a 90s anime. It looks like Clamp. There's no other way to describe it. Clamp is just kind of its own thing. So if they're going to redo Magical Knight Rayearth, they have to keep that art style. because I'm kind of getting tired of anime that like remake older anime and then like update the art style, and I'm not here for that. I'm like, dude, remake it or not, you know? Do you want to remake it or do you not want to remake it? Because don't do this half-hearted nonsense, please. Do that. Do the inside of the earth. There we go. But Diamond Lock Productions is saying goodbye. You better really be saying goodbye. Because Hires has now got me questioning everyone. No, but I'm just joking. Have a good night, Diamond Lock. Shadow is so quotable. So what is he saying here? Or, what is... there's such a good clip that somebody made, and I want to quote it so bad, but I can't remember it exactly. So now I can't quote it properly. Isn't there like a joke quote where he's like, of course you have blue hair and pronouns. That one's very good. And the other one was, what was it? The internet, I don't know what it's for, but the end of the quote is, it's for making defamatory remarks on the internet. Something like that. Anyway, there's a lot of good quote, Shadow quotes. Nothing personnel, kid. Yeah, that one's pretty good too. I know that wasn't technically Shadow, that was like Blade the Hedgehog or something, but still, that was really good. Also, I'm glad you're doing Shadow because I think I'm the only one in my friend group who's hyped for Sonic 3. We got the trailer for it. It looks interesting. It made me laugh at one joke in the trailer, like actually laugh. So it's got one laugh out of me. And Shadow himself looks pretty cool. I like the way Shadow looks. Maria, I'm not super fond of them making her look like just like a normal, everyday, modern era child. I don't know why they didn't just stick with the design that's like in the game, but whatever. Maybe it was to make people, or let's be real, children, connect with her a little bit more, perhaps. I don't know. I don't question these things. Because I'm not super in the Sonic fan base, there's a lot about Sonic I just don't question. Because my thinking is like, well, this probably makes sense to the fans. This makes no sense to me, but the fans probably understand this a lot better than I do. Where is that damn Chaos Emerald? Yeah, that's a good one as well. You disgusting black creature. Wait, wasn't that what what were they called? I guess they're like supposed to be the FBI. Wait, this is paint. I want to be in blur. There was like the FBI people who were like running after Shadow, and they kept like saying the Black Hedgehog, which just kind of sounds very weird in translation. Connect with this dead girl. Yeah, pretty much. Gun? Yeah, it was Gun. This is a little dark. I'm actually gonna just erase it slightly. There we go. Because I don't know if whether I ever had like a Sonic era. I know that for like a few months when I was 14 or something, I would essentially redraw the poses on the Archie Sonic comics as like different characters, because I did that a lot, right? When you're like a teenager, and this was like early internet. I would download like 200 kilobyte sized images of the Archie comics, and then I would just redraw the pose that would be on the cover as like other characters in like fan art. I did that a lot. So I suppose that might have been a Sonic era. I think I was interested in the concept of Sonic more than I was Sonic himself, because I never really got my hand on the comics, so all I had to go on in the early internet was like descriptions of what the plot was. And as you can imagine, with Ken Penders' writing, hearing this plot summarized to you makes it sound a lot better than it actually is when you read the comics. Shadow is a really funny concept straight out of the early 2000s, yeah. Like I was saying earlier, Sonic itself is basically DBZ for kids, which isn't even an insult to Sonic. It's just kind of a statement of fact. And Shadow is 100% Vegeta. There's no hiding it. It's just what he is, which is fine. Because, like, he's not just Vegeta. He's not like the Prince of Saiyans that came down to destroy Earth for his evil alien overlords. They just liked the concept of Vegeta, which is this antagonist that redeems himself and due to sad circumstances is put into this position of being a bad guy and then kind of has to reconnect with his quote-unquote humanity. And they just write, and being this like polar opposite to Goku. They liked that concept, and then they just kind of built a character that embodies those exact same things. And although the inspiration is exceptionally obvious, I do feel that Shadow is his own character. I wouldn't sit here and be like, oh, well, he's just a copy of Vegeta. It's like, no, he's just kind of a very obvious Vegeta OC in a way. But in a way where it's fine. It's like, no, that's not something to like criticize it about. It's just a statement of fact. It's just how it is. And it doesn't even take away from Sonic at all. It's just what it is. And that's fine. It's perfectly okay. The Sonic movies are perfectly alright in my opinion. Yeah, they're fine. I need to see the second one. I've only seen the first one, but it's fine. It's not like the greatest movie ever, but if I saw it as a child, I would have lost my mind. And I would have been obsessed with it for like the next 2 years. So yeah, take that how you will. But no, they're fine. They're fun. They deliver what a child who's really into Sonic would want. And they do their job very well. And that's all you really want. Again, the target of the Sonic movies is to be an entertaining movie that the child Sonic fans would enjoy. And that's what it is. And it does that perfectly well. And it does it in a way that's enjoyable and that you want to watch it. It's kind of like the FNAF movie. I did see the FNAF movie. I've never really been super into Five Nights at Freddy's, but like I knew enough to understand the lore and such. And FNAF is objectively not a fantastic movie, right? But it doesn't matter because it's exceptionally obvious that the people who made the FNAF movie actually cared about the source material. Wait, I don't want to do that. Cared about the source material enough to try and get it right and like make it coherent with the source material that exists. So even though it's not actually a good movie, it does what it wants to in a way that somebody who is a fan of the source material can get right. It's not like the live-action Mario Brothers movie from the 90s, where the people who made that movie are very obviously not fans of the Mario games, even like the early 80s ones. Because you can do a Mario game in the early 80s and still have it feel faithful to the games. The Mario anime movie proves that. And you can just tell the people who made that were not fans of Mario. They had no interest in Mario. Whereas the people who made the FNAF movie, it's very obvious they actually cared about Five Nights at Freddy's. They cared about the lore. And I feel that the live-action Sonic movies, even though it had that bit of a debacle with the original design, it is clear that they know what they're trying to make. And they're doing it successfully. And they have a set audience that they're making it for, and they're doing it correctly. So, you can say what you want about the Sonic movies, but they are doing exactly what they want to do, and they're doing it the way that they want to do, and they're obviously satisfying the audience that they're aiming for. The Matt Pat cameo, yeah. Can I just say, and this might be a little bit mean, but if you feel my pain, you understand. I'm so glad that mouthwashing came out after Matt Pat retired. I'm so glad that movie came out after he stopped making his videos. Because can you imagine if Matt Pat got his hands on mouthwashing? It would have been so insufferable. I love the FNAF movie. My friend got into FNAF this year. She didn't like it. Yeah, it's understandable because again, I don't think it's actually a good movie, but it is a movie that was made for people who like Five Nights at Freddy's, and I think it does that successfully. And if people dislike it because of X and Y reason and mischaracterization, sure, that's one thing. But somebody who really likes... I haven't heard anybody who actually likes FNAF say that they disliked it because it wasn't a FNAF movie, you know? Like, even the people who dislike it are like, no, it is a Five Nights at Freddy's movie, I just didn't like it. Mario anime, the live action, and the CG one. Yeah, the Mario anime is ridiculous, but it's really charming and cute. And again, I'm biased, so take that with a grain of salt. But it is just a really charming little movie. And it's fun to watch. It's pretty short. And it's just enjoyable. And I kind of really like the design of the anime Toad. I know some people were like, what the hell is this? I like it. I think it's very cute. There you go. I think the main story felt disconnected from the pizzeria, like the animatronics are barely in it. I mean, that's fair, because like, I wasn't super into Security Breach, right? But one thing I absolutely love about Security Breach is the setting, like the Pizzaplex itself. Now, part of that, I think I might have spoken about this before, part of that is because my father worked as a doctor at the Sun City Casino and Theme Park when I was like 12 or something. He worked there for a few years. So we would get free entrance to it. And it was during the 90s. And it was this, it's like the biggest casino in the country. And all the international film stars and things would be there when they come to South Africa. And it's also got like the international golf course and all of that. So like Tiger Woods would be there and things. It's a really big place. So I like the pizzeria a lot in Security Breach because it's in a way very nostalgic for me, because it absolutely captures what that vibe was like for places like that. I actually wish that game really banked on its setting a lot more than it does, because you can't really explore the Pizzaplex in the games because you're always running away from the bad AI of the robots. And even though people were saying, oh, Ruin is much better, but Ruin doesn't have the exact same vibes that Security Breach does. So it doesn't really do it for me the way Security Breach does. I better do the Emerald as well. I don't know, MattPat. I'd ask why it's good he didn't do mouthwashing, but I feel like it's a long story. It's not really a long story. MattPat did the Game Theory channel. He's the That's Just a Theory, a Game Theory. He's that guy. And what makes him obnoxious is I used to watch him many years ago before FNAF came out. And he would just make videos about like fan theories and headcanons about certain things, which were just kind of interesting because they were just thought experiments. Then FNAF came out. And MattPat put together this like conspiracy board theory about what the game is actually about. And then a lot of it, not all of it, but a lot of it was actually correct, or at least Scott Cawthon said it was correct because Scott kind of made those games up as he went. And MattPat got this into his head that he wasn't making videos about like fan theories, he was making like factual breakdowns of what the secret conspiracy plots are of a lot of games. He's the guy who sent a copy of Undertale to the Pope. He's that guy. And the big problem with MattPat isn't even MattPat himself. The big problem is a lot of people watched his videos and then took his videos as gospel as to what the games are actually about. And the thing is, sometimes he was vastly off the mark. He was the one who popularized the theory that Sans from Undertale, or Sans if you want, Sans from Undertale is Ness from Earthbound. He was the one who did a theory video of that, and back in the day, that was a theory that was obnoxiously common, and like people would get angry at you if you did not adhere to that theory. They're like, but did you know he's actually supposed to be Ness? It's like, no, he's not. That's just something MattPat said in one of his videos. It's not fact. And people like took it as being actual, that's what the game is about. And he did that with a lot of games where the fan base would just get like oh, MatPat's word is God and his interpretations are actually the authorial intent. And it just contributed to a lot of like internet brain rot. And it was exceptionally obnoxious. And with a game like Mouthwashing, which has very heavy subject matter, because it's essentially about assault. That's what the entire game is about. It is about essay and the complicated and destructive responses to it by the people who commit it. That is what the core of the game is about. And frankly, I'm just not interested in hearing MatPat's funny, haha, let's go into the secret deep lore of Mouthwashing. I'm not interested in hearing that from him. In a game like Mouthwashing, which actually is trying to have a serious conversation about its subject matter. So that's why I'm like, I'm just glad this game came out before MatPat could make a tone-deaf video about what it actually is about, and that we all would have to sit through and then have to listen to younger people, and I'm talking about like specifically like 12-year-olds, come to your social medias and tell you you're wrong for interpreting it in any other way than what MatPat said. It's really annoying. I feel like he gets a little overhated, but I do agree that people take those game theories a bit too seriously. I do think he is overhated, but he is also very annoying. Part of it isn't even his fault. I think he as a person is fine. He's like a perfectly normal dude. There's like nothing wrong with him. But he did contribute to a lot of brain rot on the internet. And it's just frustrating. And again, to me, Mouthwashing is like actually trying to have a serious conversation, and it's trying to communicate its story and themes in a very mature way. It's really trying to talk about the subject matter in a way that is elevated. It's some of the best writing I've seen in horror, not just video game horror, but just horror in general, that I've seen in many, many, many years. And to have it kind of taken over by a discussion of the real meaning of Mouthwashing is just annoying to even think about, because you know that's the direction that a game theory video would go in. In fact, people inspired by MatPat are already making videos like that. I saw a recommendation, I didn't watch the video itself, but I saw a recommendation for a video that was like, this video game hates you. And I'm like, ugh. Which, is that even a true statement you can say about Mouthwashing? I mean, I get what the person meant, but at the same time, just that statement as a video topic, is that like, I don't know, it's not a very insightful thing to say, I feel. It's very clickbaity, I think is what I'm trying to say. It's a very clickbait way to entice people into trying to explain to them what Mouthwashing is actually about. When the reality is that Mouthwashing is, despite being a horror sci-fi game, Mouthwashing is a very tragic story about a very tragic circumstance that exists in the real world and happens, unfortunately, every single day. And it's horrific, and it is basically just sitting there and watching a terrible situation get worse and worse and worse until the credits roll. And that's the game. It's just you have to sit there and watch the destruction of all these people, and there's nothing you can do about it. And it's very upsetting in a way, but you want to experience the story because it's told in such a really interesting and well done way. And to break it down into like theory crafting and what it actually means and what the real story was is just kind of painful to me, because it's basically, it almost degrades the art side of it a little bit. And maybe that's a snobbish thing to say, maybe that's a little elitist of me, and it probably is, but I'm just glad that the guy who made the most popular videos theory crafting about that sort of thing retired before that game came out, because I wasn't interested in reading a lot of takes about the game that completely or even purposefully don't want to talk about what the game is actually about, because the subject matter is uncomfortable to discuss. Dana says, I helped Seth write a video entirely debunking MatPat's security breach theories because he just misinterpreted so much. Yeah. MatPat also, he'd made like a video. I don't know what he was thinking with this one. Markiplier made a joke video where he played Smash or Pass with Pokemon, and he just made the video where he just said Smash or Pass throughout the whole thing, and at the end he turned to the camera and he goes, I offer no explanation, and he turned the video off. And then like MatPat was like, we're going to construct Matt's most smashable Pokemon. I'm like, what? And then Markiplier reacts to it, sorry, I think I said Matt, Markiplier's most smashable Pokemon. And then Markiplier reacted to the video, and he watched the video, and he watched the Pokemon that MatPat constructed for him, and he just said, pass. And that was the entire video. Okay, do I need to do anything else? I mean, I could do this. Hold on. Do this. Go. Oh, no, I want to do this as well. Add that. No, add that, not subtract that. Oh, it is add. Hold on. Okay, do this. There we go, that's what I wanted. And now we go here. Make a new layer, put it to overlay. Where's overlay? Overlay. I think that's green enough. Yeah, let's go here. I suppose so. I'm wondering whether I should do it as a radial. Radial is so tricky in Clip Studio Paint. I'm not 100% sure how it works, quite frankly. No, it's better with just a regular gradient. There we go. That's good. Oh, and I can do this to the language. I'm slightly overworking this, but it's really early, actually. I finished this really quickly. So I don't want to give you guys too short a stream, because that's not fair either. Not to stereotype you, but do you have a favorite order from Nando's? I'm getting hungry and thinking about dinner. I haven't had Nando's in years. I usually just got the Nando's chicken burger, and I would get the mild. It's a very uninteresting option, but it's the one I most often took. There we go. Do that. That. Oh, I can do it here as well. Just do that. There we go. Anything else? I think that's good. What else? Actually, I think that's fine, but it's literally, it's only 11 now, and I started at like 8:30 because we had such technical difficulties. So I can probably do something else. We can do another drawing. That won't take too long. There we go. Let me just hit save because I haven't saved yet. Because it looks like the connection's stable now. This always happens. It like freaks out a few minutes before I'm supposed to do something important, and then it fixes itself, and then it's fine. It's annoying. So we'll draw somebody else if you guys have any suggestions. Sounds like an interesting game. Oh, please check out Mouthwashing. It's actually on sale at the moment. Steam should give me some money. I'm doing a lot of marketing for them. Mouthwashing is on sale at the moment. It's about 2.5 to 3 hours long. It is more a story experience than a gameplay experience, and I absolutely highly recommend it. I'm not going to say anything else about it because you need to go into it as blind as possible. It's one of those where the less you know about it, the better, and then you just experience it. But just be aware, it is very dark. And it is one of those stories where it starts bad, not in quality, just in terms of situation. It starts bad, and it just gets worse until it ends. And all you can do is sit back and watch. There's no fixing the situation in the game. It's just watching something get worse and worse and worse until it ends. It's very good, and I highly recommend it. It's so well done. Absolutely adore that game's writing. Absolutely phenomenal. I see it's actually, it's one of the nominees for the Steam Awards. I think it's in the nominees for writing, like storytelling or something. And I hope it wins. I sincerely hope it wins. I don't know when the Game Awards are this year. I should check that out. I hope it wins like one of the Indie Game Awards as well, because I think it really deserves it. It is insane how well that game is made. So I'm going to an anime con in 2 weeks, and upon your recommendation, I'll be keeping an eye out for Utena merch. Yes, do so. Utena merch is difficult to find because I guess it is kind of a niche anime, despite how much certain cartoons like to copy it wholesale. It isn't as merchandisable as something like Sailor Moon is. Anyway, we should get something else drawing while I'm sitting here, because now I'm just sitting here chatting, and I'm not going to do that for like an hour. So we need to decide on something else that I can draw. The emerald looks so good. Oh, thank you. Something from your comfort zone. Something from Mass Effect. Do you know how difficult Mass Effect characters are to draw? Do you know what a nightmare Garrus is with his armor? It's so painful. There's so much going on there. I've been gone for the last 15 minutes, and have I missed anything? We're about to draw something else, just because I finished this rather quickly. So we're trying to decide what to draw next. You like Silent Hill? If you like Silent Hill, you'll like mouthwashing. Mouthwashing is taking inspiration from Silent Hill without trying to be Silent Hill. You know, it's not trying to be a Silent Hill game. It's not trying to be a Silent Hill story, but you can tell that the people who made Mouthwashing are fans of Silent Hill 2 specifically, because it very much falls within that wheelhouse, the way it tells its story and the way that it presents things, and the fact that almost everything in Mouthwashing is symbolic of something. Very much like in Silent Hill 2, the monsters are very purposeful in how they're designed. And I'm being careful with Silent Hill 2 spoilers because I'm trying to get Dana to play it. Very much the same way how Silent Hill 2, everything in the game is designed to be representative of something. And Mouthwashing is that way too, where a lot of it is very specific in why things look the way they do and why certain things are said the way they're said. I still want to see you draw Leon from RE more than anything. Oh, Maria? People are saying Maria. Yeah, maybe we can do Maria. I don't want to do her earlier because we did Momoko last time and I felt Maria was quite similar. But we can do Maria now because, I mean, I did Shadow, so we can put Maria next to him. I'll just put Shadow up here. I can close this now. No. Keep Shadow here and I'll put them next to each other once we're done. I'm going to flip the canvasser so we can have her facing Shadow. And I tend to be more comfortable drawing faces facing left than I am faces drawing facing right. 1960s Batman. I love Garrus's face. I figured Garrus's face. Sorry, that was a Freudian slip of me. I figured Garrus's face would be the tricky part because of the mandibles. That part isn't as tricky. It's mainly the armor that's a nightmare. The facial structure is a little tricky, but once you figure it out, it's just kind of making sure to adhere to what it looks like. And then you can kind of get it right most of the time. That being said, though, I use a lot of reference when I draw him, especially if I'm turning his head in specific angles. Wait, I don't want this eraser, I want this one. I need another drink of water. I can feel my voice is getting wrecked. Which isn't really because of the stream, it's just because we are having so much wind here at the moment. So my throat has been so dry. Ah, there we go. Oh, thanks for the super chat, Kevin. Kevin says, gotta head out now, but I'll catch the rest of the stream later. Good luck on the Magnifico video, and have a great weekend, everyone. Thank you, Kevin, and thank you for the super chat. No, I don't want to ban Kevin. How dare you send me a super chat? No, heart the super chat. Thanks, Kevin. Yeah, like I said, I am excited to actually have a weekend off this weekend. Do this. I want to put her in a pose. I'll show you guys what I'm thinking. Have her shoulders go like this. Put this on there. Put that on there. Do this. Do this. So this leg is basically going to go here. And this leg's going to go here, but because she wears that little hoop skirt, I'm going to make it so it goes... No, it has to go the other way. There we go. And then we can do her hair like this. I'm going to have to look up a reference because I'm not entirely sure how her hair looks. I know she's got long blonde hair, but I'm not sure how the bangs look. So we can do that. So that's kind of what I'm thinking. No, I don't want that on there. At a 90-degree angle, it's not good. That's kind of what I'm thinking. Maybe bring this leg a little bit in because it's a little difficult to see what I'm trying to do. There we go, that's better. I can move her over like that. And the skirt in there. Oh, we can make the skirt. There we go, that's better. I think her skirt is rather long. I don't think she has like the short skirt like Alice. She kind of looks like Alice from Alice in Wonderland, but not entirely. Now that I've made this arm long, and I've moved her over, I need to figure out what to do with this arm. Oh, there we go. Okay. I know what I'm doing. Do that. Yeah, that works. Okay. It's going to be a live stage show, Solar Moon show in London next year. It might be interesting. Yeah, I've always kind of been interested in the CMU live stage shows, but I never really got around to them. I'm more like the live action PGSM show is so good. I'm kind of more biased towards that in like live action Sailor Moon content, if that makes sense. Is that Peaches playing in the background? I don't know. It might be. I grabbed a Nintendo synthwave mix and I have a Donkey Kong synthwave mix. And I'm kind of just letting them play in the background. So if you're hearing like Peaches or something, it might just be part of the mix. Let's see. Sonic, Maria. What are you drawing now? We're drawing Maria. No, not Maria. Who is this? Who is this Hedgehog character? Who is this Maria the Hedgehog? Is that somebody or is that somebody's OC? Because you know the whole thing that if you type in your name and the Hedgehog, you will find somebody's OC because everybody has a Sonic OC. I typed in Sonic Maria and it gave me a bunch of like OCs. So I'm not entirely sure if that's a real character from the comics or something. Let's grab Maria here. Come on. Why is it loading this entire web page? Anyway, doesn't matter. Copy image. Go here. Paste. There we go. Put her over here. I thought she had a more Alice in Wonderland looking dress, but she actually kind of has this like futuristic dress going on, which makes sense because she's like on a spaceship or something, right? Maria from Silent Hill. No, the other Maria. Although now you're making me think of like Shadow the Hedgehog's Silent Hill, which is kind of funny. Because it wouldn't actually, you wouldn't need to change that much for like Shadow the Hedgehog's Silent Hill. He's just walking around, Maria. There's Maria from the comics. Is she a human though? Because I'm seeing like Maria the Hedgehog here and I don't actually know if that's a real character or just somebody's OC. Let's make my brush a bit thicker. I always seem to make chins larger than I mean to, and then I always have to go back and make them smaller. I think that's good though. Do that. She has, yeah, she's just got like the anime nose. Here we go. What's a video game that's made me cry? Nier Automata, however you want to pronounce it. That game destroyed me. And the only other video game that's ever managed to make me cry is Mass Effect 3. I'm trying to think. I think that's all. Yeah, I don't think I've cried. I'm not somebody who cries easily at media though, so don't take that as like meaning much. I don't cry easily at all. Mary? No, you're not. Like, have that scene, but just have it be Shadow instead. You wouldn't even need to change that much, quite frankly. Her eyes go there, her ears go there. And it goes... Oh, this is a bit thick. Like that. Okay. Shadow goes to Silent Hill and he finds Mary instead of Maria. Yeah. When did Sonic Adventure 2 come out? Was that like 98 or something, if I remember correctly? I didn't have a Dreamcast. Wasn't really a thing here, so I'm not 100% sure of the timeline there. I have like zero nostalgia for it whatsoever. So any nostalgia or knowledge I have of like Sonic Adventure is what I've like learned through osmosis from the internet. Snapcube dub voice, Maria. I need to watch the Snapcube dub again. It's so good. Like Snapcube's cover of was it In His World? It's In His World, right? It's the one that is from Sonic 06. I think that's the one from Sonic 06. Snapcube did like a full cover of that song and it sounds so good. Snapcube is like horrifically talented. It's not fair. She and Holly, who did what's the character? Dr. Coomer in Half-Life, but the VR is self-aware. Like both of them are way too talented. It's not fair. I have like zero acting ability whatsoever. This leg goes here, that goes there. My proportions are not good in this drawing. I drew it a little bit too quickly. In fact, let me just do that and try again. I drew it too fast and now my proportions are off because I wasn't thinking what I was doing. It comes a little bit lower like that. Problem also is she's a child, but not really. She's like 13 or so, so it like affects how I want to draw her. Because it's not quite child proportions, but it's not adult proportions. Zoom out. Turn this down even more. It's better. I think her head's just a little big. I think that's what's throwing me off. I'll fix that in a second. Bring this down here. That. So if this is here, then this would be here. And this would be here. Be more like this, I think. Yeah, I think her head's just way too big. Yeah, let's fix that. That's better. Because the thing is, once I add hair, it's going to make her head much bigger than it actually is. So if it's already looking big at this stage, I have to bring it down in size. Because once you add the hair, it like almost triples what the head looks like. So it's best to just kind of sort that problem out now. I totally forgot Holly was Dr. Kuma. Yeah, it's because she's so good. That dub, I sometimes forget that, like, obviously I don't forget that it's a fan dub or a fan VR or whatever, but it is so hard to realize that the VAs for Half-Life, but the AI is self-aware, that they're not the original VAs for the original Half-Life characters, because they have those impressions of the original scientist characters. They are so good at doing those impressions. They sound identical to the original game. It's really freaky in a way. I kind of want to beef up this arm as well. The entire Sonic R soundtrack would like to have a word. And people are saying 2001 is when Sonic Adventure came out. And Silent Hill 2 came out in 2002, if I remember correctly. So it came out before Silent Hill 2. I was just curious. Not that the two actually have anything in common. I just thought maybe there was a funny coincidence there that I might have missed. But no. That was just me looking for patterns where there are none. Make this bigger. Come on. Okay, we're getting there. Okay, good. Let's do the face. The dubs have that effect. They will be in your vocabulary forever. They really will. Like, I know it's a classic and everybody quotes it, but it's just because it's so quotable. Is that, whoa, he's bisexual. I didn't know that. Like, that is so quotable. I don't even know why. I think there's just something about that line and the utility of it. I remember when that botched translation of My Hero Academia came out, where Mineta was erroneously written to have a crush on Midori, and like everybody were posting the Snapcube quote of like, whoa, he's bisexual, I didn't know that. It was so funny. That entire situation was hilarious. This way. Yeah, there we go. Again, I need to rewatch the Snapcube dubs. I know everybody quotes like Piss on the Moon. I don't really like that joke. To me, it's a little bit crass. But there are other jokes in that just send me into an absolute state. I know Snapcube, she just recently played all of the Phoenix Wright games for like the first time, and she became absolutely obsessed with them. I do hope that she might consider doing a Phoenix Wright dub, if possible, because that game might be a little difficult to dub just because it's kind of in a VA style. Visual novel, sorry, not VA, VN style, which might make it a little harder in terms of dub quality. But I also think with how wacky Phoenix Wright is, it might be the perfect fodder for real-time fan dub. And I know that Wayne said it's taken him like the whole year, but he is actually working on Half-Life but the AI is self-aware for Half-Life 2. I think he wants to bring back the characters from the first one, which I really hope he does, because I've unironically gotten attached to those characters, which is ridiculous because it's like a comedy fan dub. It's not meant to be taken seriously, and then everybody ended up being attached to these characters. It was very funny. Am I on Blue Sky? Yes, I am. I think I'm just C-Puff on there, like C-Puff. The music in Sonic games goes hard though. Some of the best soundtracks I've ever heard in a video game. Some of them don't really hit for me, but the ones that do I think are very good. Escape from the City, as cheesy as that song is, it is a bop. There's like no escaping the fact that that song is just extremely catchy and fun to listen to. Alright, this eye is too far here, that's the problem. Bring this in closer. Just want to make it bigger. No, something here is wrong. What's wrong here? What is wrong? I've been so busy, like, doing cleanup on animation. I haven't had time to really draw for myself, so I'm so rusty. I feel like I say that every stream, but it's always true. I'm so busy at my actual job, I don't have time to sit and draw for myself, which sucks because I have all these ideas for just silly comics and things I want to make. Because people seem to really enjoy those as well on like Tumblr and stuff. People really like the dumb comics I draw, and I've got so many ideas for more. But then I'm always so busy, and when I'm not working on studio stuff, I tend to try and give my wrist a break so I don't overwork it, so I take time off. It's also why I play video games a lot instead, because it's just different than using my wrist for drawing all day, every day. But then it results in me feeling like, oh, this shouldn't be as hard as it is. And it's like, well, you're rusty. You haven't drawn anything in a while. There we go. I think that's good. Let's see, the bridge goes here. The bridge goes here. Yeah, that should be good. Eye goes there. Yes. So the eyebrows go here. Still not happy with it, but I might just have to accept that that's what we're going to get and move on. Okay, I'm just going to call it there instead of like trying to fiddle with it for another hour or so. Bring this in a bit and bring the ear in as well. There we go. Okay. What do you think about webtoons? I haven't really read webtoons on the Webtoons website, but I mean, I've always been a massive fan of webcomics. Before videos were easily accessible on the internet, webcomics were essentially the main source of like entertainment for me on the internet. Whether it be like pixel comics, like the old school Sonic pixel comics that were a big thing, or like Drow Tales. I was really into Drow Tales for a long time. And like I said, I didn't read the Sonic Archie comics, but I read like synopses of them online, which I guess count. There was one webcomic, and I can't remember the name of it, but it had a super interesting idea, even though it was yet another vampire romance. And this was way before Twilight. This was like a solid 6 years before Twilight came out. It had a very interesting idea for vampire romances. And essentially what it had was vampires can survive off of milk instead of blood. So they can survive off a substance without having to kill anything. But the catch is, the more they do this and the longer they go without blood and survive only off milk, the more they lose their cognitive abilities, I suppose is the way to put it. And the more docile and like animalistic they become. And I just felt that that was such an interesting concept. I don't really know if the comic did anything interesting with it or if it was just kind of a hook for the romance in a very weird teenage way. But I thought that the concept alone was quite fascinating to me because it was like a take on vampire lore that I hadn't seen before. And for the life of me, I can't remember what the comic's name is, and I've never been able to find it again. I heard you mention Living in the City. That entire soundtrack is just like that. Cheesy with so much energy, you can't not enjoy it. I feel like that one's like the highlight of the soundtrack though. The others tend to be a little bit too much. I don't even know how to describe it. And the thing is, right, I had the soundtrack before I even knew what game it was from. When I was like, I don't know, 13 or 14. No, it must have been like 14. And I would listen to those songs, but I wouldn't say they're good. Escape the City might be legit good, but some of the others, it's like, oof, this is actually very rough. And I think it's mostly because of the like badly translated lyrics. And I know basically all games were like that back in the day, but that doesn't change the fact that it's true. I think that's okay. She has like really big eyes because she's like a moe anime character. I think, yeah, her eyes are just normal blue. I'm very far behind in my Sonic knowledge, as in I'm still stuck in the Genesis era pretty much. Yeah, Sonic, the whole Sonic thing is, it goes off the rails completely. And it depends on your mileage on whether you see that as a good thing or bad thing. Because there are some people that are like really into how absolutely bonkers it gets, and there are some people who are like, no, it should have just kind of stayed as a Genesis thing. And there's very much the split, as far as I could see, in the fandom regarding that. And it seems to be one of those arguments that just does not have a resolution. So people just kind of argue about like what is the quote-unquote best approach to Sonic, and they'll just be doing that for the rest of the time, and they won't ever actually find an answer to that argument. They'll just continue arguing about it. If it makes you feel better... Oh, that's just what I read, sorry. Sonic CD is definitely a workout soundtrack. Sonic CD is pretty good. Sonic CD has a really good intro that I'm quite a fan of. And then I found out much, much later it's because that intro was animated by... I don't know if it was Toei themselves, but it was one of the studios that was behind the Dragon Ball Z anime. And that's why it looks the way it does. And it makes perfect sense. It's genuinely very, very good intro. There we go. And then I want to give her like a slight smile. This chin could have been like more forward as well. But I'm reaching the point in the evening where I'm like, well, at this point, it just has to be good enough, especially because it's the second drawing. So I'm not going to fiddle with it too much, or we're going to be here all night. No, that might be too small. And you know, I did come off like a full day of work as well, so I need to give my wrist a break at some point. But no, I'm doing okay for now. I'm just making more mistakes than I want to. But it's also because I'm on stream, so I'm like talking to chat and stuff, and I can't like commit my full attention to what I'm doing. I might have to change this up just a little bit. Just a little bit more, tilt it there. Yeah, it's okay. I think that's okay. Yeah, it's fine. I'm just gonna say it's fine and move on. Do that. I told you why I don't like Batman the Caped Crusader, but recently I realized something else. Batgirl is an adult and not a teenager in the series, and this opens the gates to Bruce Timm's beloved ship. Oh dear. The thing is, Batgirl is kind of just a moniker, right? Because I know that Gordon's daughter was Batgirl for a while until the incident, and then Cassandra Cain was Batgirl for a while. So Batgirl to me is kind of... I don't know who this character is, which is weird because Robin is like the two, and yet I feel like I have a much better grasp on who Robin is than I do who Batgirl is. Like, I'm not entirely sure what to make of Batgirl as like a character. I know this chin is bothering me. Do this, do this. That's better. Okay. Let's cut here. Yeah, I want it to be this way around. Let's grab. Here we go. And she's got like an Alice band. I think that's why she makes me think of Alice from Alice in Wonderland. This was probably on purpose. Like they took some inspiration from that specific character design. Just because it feels way too deliberate to not be inspired by it in part. Okay, bring it a bit over. There we go. And then she's got a part here. I think, yeah, so part's here. And then she just kind of has like the Dreamcast hair here in the back, which I think I'll elaborate on a little bit more than it looks here. Because here she's very much got the Morrowind hairstyle going on, where it's just like a block. So I think I'll, what am I doing? I think I'll elaborate on it a little bit more than it actually is in the design in the actual game. I gotta take off. My laptop's glitching the fuck out. Take care all. Thanks for dropping by, da boy. And have a good evening. It seems that my tech issues are gone, but maybe I accidentally gave them to you. So good luck with that. I remember once I called my high school principal Mrs. Schitz instead of Mrs. Schmitz. Whoops. What was my second Freudian slip? I obviously did not pay attention to what I was saying. I know what the first one was. What was the second? Hedgehog the 10th. I think the Sonic song in my head that stuck the most is Sonic Underground's opening. Was stressed at worst once and my brain started going, triplet spawn! The throne awaits for comfort. Yeah, now I feel that. That intro is kind of cool though. The show is not. But the intro is really good. And by really good, you know what I mean. I don't mean like play it at a concert. I just mean like it's kind of fire. Although as a teenager, I was kind of into like Manic the Hedgehog because I just thought that was kind of a cool character idea. Again, I was like 14 or something, but I always liked that as a concept at least. I very rarely was like into female characters. I think I've talked about this before. But another thing I remember why I wasn't super into female characters ever as a child is because I almost resented the fact that as a girl, I was expected to like them. And that just annoyed me. Like, I was expected to like this character based on the fact that they were the girl character. And just kind of as an overreaction, I would end up severely disliking them as like an act of rebellion. And this was something I did like from age 8. This wasn't like me being an angsty teenager. It's just like me being a contrarian, I suppose. You said shit instead of ship. Oh, yeah. I'm sick at the moment, so I'm going to log off to lay down. Oh, but yeah, please go lay down, Prop for the puns. Thanks for checking in. I hope you feel better. Speaking of which, I hope the storm is a bit better there in the US. I heard you guys had a bad blizzard on the West Coast a few days ago. It didn't seem like disaster levels. It just seemed like a really bad blizzard. So I hope that's doing better. I don't think I was ever in a blizzard when I was studying in Vancouver. But the thing is, like Vancouver, it's extremely wet, but it doesn't really snow there. Because I remember all the locals in Vancouver would make fun of the fact that nobody knew how to drive when it snowed, just because they're not used to it. Here we go, and I want to give her her bangs, but I'm going to do that in another layer, just so I don't mess up what I've drawn here. They made a vow, their mother will be found. Sonic Underground. I don't know why I remember the theme song. I remember the theme song to the Free Willy cartoon though, so, you know, that might just be me. That's my secret ability, is remembering theme songs from cartoons from like the 90s that I watched exactly twice. I suppose this says more about the composer of the cartoon's theme songs though. They purposefully made them so that children just memorize them easily. Also, I think I saw Joel, like, yes, that's what it was. Joel was playing the Sonic Underground song over the trailer of Sonic 3. I think I watched that recently. It might also be why I remember the theme song. This. No, I'm not super happy with these bangs. Hold on. Make them a little thicker like that. There we go, it's better. Do that. I like giving the characters like the 80s puffed up hair. I blame that in, I really like the way they did hair in Utena. And when I was a child, I really liked the way they did hair in the original My Little Pony cartoon. Not so much the later TV series where they just kind of drew them as blobs. But in like the OVA and stuff, they have like a really cool way that they did the hair in that VHS. And I remember always really liking it as a child. So I think I kind of always incorporated that into my art. There we go. And her outfit, she's got like this puffy sleeve thing going on. Let's do another layer. I've had family who lived in Seattle joke that the entire city shuts down when there's just a skiff of snow. Enough snow to stick on the ground, but not enough to be measurable. There was a joke when I was in Vancouver. Because Vancouver, I don't know if it's still this way, but when I was studying there, it has a big drug problem as well. So there was a joke that came around, which was... the last time it snowed in Vancouver, people got so confused, they tried to snort it. Like, that was the big joke when it was snowing the one year. No, shut up, Navi. I'm drawing. Okay, so she's got this funny color, but I can't figure out if it's part of the dress or part of the jacket. Then again, this is like Dreamcast graphics, so maybe it doesn't actually have any logical connection going on here. Oh no, it's got this blue line here, so I suppose it's part of the jacket because it's got the zip in front. It's got the high collar, and this tiny blue line seems to imply that it is part of the collar. Like, it's part of the jacket. It's not the collar of the dress coming through the jacket. Everyone remembers the theme song to Inspector Gadget, but I couldn't tell you a single episode synopsis. I do remember watching it though. I don't know if I watched Inspector Gadget. I remember one show that would play here a lot, and I hated it. I really couldn't stand it. Was Gadget Boy, which is terrible. At least my memory of it tells me it's terrible. Which is basically like Inspector Gadget, but if he was an annoying child. And if Penny was like an adult woman, and she had to babysit him constantly because he's always like in the risk. He's always in risk of like running off into traffic and getting himself killed. It's a really bad show. I remember really hating it as a child, and Cartoon Network would play it a lot. And I was always so annoyed when it would come on, just because it's very bad and not fun to watch. I never forgot, Have You Got the 411? Some of the songs from that show went hard. I never been to Vancouver, but the East End is notorious for drugs. I think at one point it had more fentanyl overdoses than anyone else in the world. Yeah, I also remember because I was there for the Winter Olympics in 2010. And one joke that was going around was that the Olympic torch that year looked like a bong. And the joke was going around that, yeah, it's because it's taking place in Vancouver. Let's see what else is chat saying. Just scrolling back to see what I missed. I don't think I missed anything. Just making sure. She's kind of got the, it's not entirely a bolero jacket, but it's cut off like a bolero jacket. I think this is too long. I think it must be higher up here. Which is a shame because I really like bolero jackets. There was one on Etsy once and I wanted it so badly, but of course it was in the US and I couldn't afford the shipping, which is fine because I doubt it would have fit me anyway. But that's like a style of jacket that I'm a big fan of. I don't know whether I can pull it off though, because I think you need a very specific body type to pull off a bolero. Let's see now, how do I want this jacket to fall? No, not like that, like that. And just do that, and do that, yeah. And then her dress can be underneath, yes, that's good. Oh, but if it's a bong, everywhere, again, let me just switch it here. If it's a bong, everywhere in Canada likes weed, but it's not been an issue. Yeah, this was in like 2010 though. That was a weird year because I was there to study and everyone else was there for like the Olympics. It was a very strange vibe to be like, I'm an international student. No, I'm not here for the Olympics, actually. Yes. There we go. And then she's got like the dress. I see it's not actually, I had this memory that it was poofy, that it like came out like this, but I see I'm completely wrong. Again, I must be thinking about Alice, and I like just remembered that that's what the dress looks like, even though it doesn't look like that at all. There we go. I think that's correct. Yeah, that's fine. So it's inker. That's marker, we want pen. We don't want the toner pen, we want the SU cream pencil. What's your favorite video game soundtrack? Somebody asked me on Tumblr what my favorite song from the Mass Effect OST is, and I still have to go through it to try and decide because there are too many songs I like. But favorite video game OST in general. Speaking of which, I wanted to, sorry, I'm jumping topics crazy here. I wanted to play a song for the intro, and I didn't have an intro because of the technical difficulties, but I'll play it for the outro instead because I was really excited to play that. But favorite video game soundtrack overall, that's really tricky. I really like the Morrowind soundtrack. Like, unironically, I think it's a very, very good soundtrack. It's really cool to listen to. Especially Still Waters is a fantastic piece of music. Big fan of that one. Mass Effect has some great songs, but the majority of songs in that game, I feel, do their job as background songs, and you don't really notice them, which is fine, but it doesn't make them for good listening. There are a few phenomenal tracks in Nier Automata, but I only really think of Nier Automata in terms of like one or two songs which are just like absolutely insane. Like Become as Gods is a ridiculous song. It's insane. I'm a massive fan of that. And Copied City is very good as well. But then the rest of the soundtrack doesn't really grab me. I don't know. That's a good question. Was Vancouver the only part of Canada you in? No, I did go to Victoria once or twice, but it was kind of just like, oh, I'm on break for 2 weeks. I'm going to go down to Victoria and just kind of see what the capital of BC looks like. But other than that, I basically stayed in Vancouver because I was there to study. So I didn't really go sightseeing anywhere else in the country. Mario Power Tennis, the Game Boy, will always be the best video game soundtrack. Nostalgia hits so very hard. I actually really, really like, individual song-wise, the song for, what's it called? The one that Tim Follen did, what was it called now? Was it called, I want to say Scholastic. It's not Scholastic, but it's like the medieval one he did. That song is incredible, and it's on the NES. It's insane. What else? See, I can think of individual songs that I like, but it's difficult to nail down like a full soundtrack. Oh, you know what I might pick? Solstice, thank you. What I might pick for soundtrack might actually be Super Mario Galaxy. When it comes to like the entire soundtrack, Super Mario Galaxy might be the one. Just because even though I don't like every song on that soundtrack, that probably has the most individual songs that are just absolutely incredible. And it doesn't help that the Super Mario Galaxy soundtrack was by the Japanese Philharmonic Orchestra. That lends a lot to why it sounds the way it sounds. So I might go with that one. The first Super Mario Galaxy. I'm not as familiar with 2. But like Super Mario Galaxy 1, it's got Gusty Garden, which is like the massive popular one. The intro theme song, which is like a medley of all the songs, is really, really good. What's the other one that's really good? Yeah, I don't know. I don't know the names of some of the tracks. Birth, I know it's very good, but there's like a whole bunch of them that are also excellent. If you also want a soundtrack from a game which had no reason to be as good as it is, check out the soundtrack for Professor Layton versus Phoenix Wright. That game had no right being as good as it was, but it probably has my favorite video game medley for its credits, where it mixes a whole bunch of music from Professor Layton and Phoenix Wright, like from the past games together, into like one massive track. And it's so good, especially if you're like a fan. I haven't played all the games in both series. I've played a good few, but not all of them. But that medley is like ridiculous. I should play it if it doesn't get copyright claimed at some point. I think it's like 7 minutes long though. I love Rosalina from Super Mario Galaxy so much. She's great though. I wish they would do more with her, but maybe the fact that they don't really use her is good, because you don't want that character to become overexposed, because the mysteriousness around her is also part of the appeal, right? So you don't want Nintendo to go overboard with using her. But at the same time, you do kind of wish that they would make her show up again, ever, outside of like the sport games. I was in Toronto recently and Swifty Mania is running wild right now. Oh no. I've never been west of Ontario, but I've been everywhere east except Newfoundland. I saw on a map that Newfoundland's like tiny though. It's like genuinely an island and that's about it. Okay. I'm thinking about that medley now. I should look it up. I remember it being like 7 minutes long though. Which means for my intros and outros, I tend to try to keep it to under 5 minutes. Otherwise, we're all going to be sitting here for like 10 minutes just waiting for me to start a stream. But that's such a good song. I might have to look into that one day. Too bad I didn't play that while I was having technical difficulties. Okay, it does have stabilization. Go 6. Do that. Now switch to hard. Do this. And there's aquatic ambience. This is the Donkey Kong synthwave mix. Yes, this is the Donkey Kong, oopsie, synthwave mix. I got it off YouTube, so I genuinely try and link the music I use in the description of my streams if you want to check that out. And this one was recommended to me randomly one day, and I started listening to it and it's very good. I got like really into it. Oh, I think I said earlier, I bought the Halo Master Chief Collection. I've never played a Halo game. And Tumblr yelled at me when I asked whether it's worth looking into. Everybody told me, yes, get them. So I'm hoping I'll like them. Because the thing is, I didn't get into Mass Effect because I like shooters. I got into Mass Effect because I liked the story. I'll basically learn how to play a video game that's out of my comfort zone if it has a good story. So I don't know how I'll feel about Halo, but people who like Mass Effect have assured me that Halo would be something I'm interested in. And if nothing else, I'd like to see what like the historical significance of Halo is. And I'm not going to do that by like watching the TV show or some nonsense like that, right? So I hope I like them. I'm at least interested in playing the trilogy, if nothing else. I don't know whether the fourth one is worth playing. I know there was some story when it came out a while back where people were disappointed with it, but I can't remember why. Do that. There we go. I played Halo a few years ago for the first time. Pretty good games, and yeah, the writing is worth it. Okay, that's cool. Because if it has really good gameplay, that's fine, but that's not normally what really grabs me with a video game. Because if I play something for gameplay, it would be something like RimWorld, which doesn't really have a story. It's just kind of playing it for the gameplay. But I'm not a competitive person, right? I don't really have much interest in being the best or getting the best high score or any of that. So a lot of times shooters don't really interest me because they tend to be focused on trying to be like competitive games, which I mean is good. It's not a good or bad thing. I just mean that it means it usually doesn't appeal to me. So I was hoping that Halo has a good story if people are so into it. But like I said, if nothing else, it'll give me some context as to why other people like it, even if it's not something that's up my alley. The fourth one is pretty shit. Nah, that sucks. I'll see though, because now I've bought the Master Chief Collection, which is like 7 games. I'll have to check which ones. Because I couldn't find how to buy just 1, 2, and 3. On Steam, they basically want you to buy the entire collection of all 7 games. Which is fine, because now I never have to hear like, oh, you should have actually bought this one. That's one of the good ones. And I would have had no way of knowing that. Well, now I've just got 7 of them, and I assume it's the good ones. And that should be good enough, because I don't think it includes like the newest one. I know there was one that came out quite recently that people were also very upset about. It's fine, Reach and ODST are okay too, I suppose. Is Newfoundland is not small by area, but it is by population. The East Coast is mostly small outside of Halifax. Yeah, like I kind of got that concept. I watched a video on YouTube about the circus ship that sunk in the harbor of, I think it was Newfoundland. That's a pretty insane story. I highly recommend that. None of the circus animals died, just as a forewarning in case anyone is like, oh dear. But none of the circus animals died during that. And it's actually a really interesting story, like how hard people worked to make sure all the animals got off the ship safely before it sank. Really, really interesting story. I've also made the horrific mistake of watching a lot of, I want to say, airplane disaster videos. I might have mentioned this before. It's not so much airplane disasters in that the plane crashes, blah, 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 everybody dies. But things that go wrong during air travel. And sometimes the plane does not make it, and sometimes it does. And I'm really interested in the times when it does. Yes, I did talk about this in the previous stream, because I told you guys about the guy, about the plane that lost all 4 of its engines and yet somehow still managed to land. And why I say it's a horrific mistake is I'm actually thinking and planning to go visit a friend of mine in Poland next year, which means I will have to get on an international plane to get there. So, you know, watching a lot of videos about air travel disasters is a fantastic idea for me to be doing. But then again, I watched the first Final Destination when I was 14, like 3 days before my family was set to go to Europe. So whatever. Halo 1 is solid. I heard good things about 2 and 3. ODST and Reach are hit or miss, and they drop off hard from there, as I understand it. I'll give it a look. Like I said, I've got all of them now, so I can just give them a try and see what I think. And I will give them an honest try, because at least I'm not biased against them. That's not a thing. Like, I'm not going into them just being like, ugh, Halo, I can't wait to tear this apart. It's not like that. It's just I never knew if it was something that I'd be interested in, simply based on the kind of player that it seemed to appeal to, which is a little unfair of me, I'm aware. But it did seem to me that the only real people who played Halo were like the Xbox Dude Gamer Bros, but that might have more to do with the multiplayer than it did the games themselves. Because I know that multiplayer was a huge draw when those games came out. So I am interested in playing them for the sci-fi aspect, because I've said this many times, I really enjoy sci-fi. I'm a big fan of sci-fi. I kind of like sci-fi more than I like fantasy in many ways. And I do like the concept and setting of like the Ring world. I know that that's something that comes from classic sci-fi novels. I think it's just called Ringworld in the classic sci-fi novels. But just that concept is really interesting to me, so it's fun to see it play out in a video game, because I like it when video games have like high concept ideas. I know that that's one thing that kind of intrigued me about Voices of the Void, which Joel streams a lot. I kind of really like the crazy catgirl aliens in that, just because it's been a very long time with a sci-fi game where we've had like crazy cat-based aliens. And I don't know why that's such a common theme in sci-fi. We had crazy cat aliens in, not Master and Commander, what is that? Wing Commander. Wing Commander had really crazy cat aliens. And there's a sci-fi book series from like the 70s which had really crazy cat aliens. And so I liked that Voices of the Void have these crazy cat aliens, because they're not like anime Neko cat girls. They're like legit like, what the hell kind of design is this cat girl? And I'm kind of into that. I like the weirdness. Because I think a lot of sci-fi these days is like almost afraid that it won't be taken seriously. So it kills a lot of the fun parts of sci-fi, which is a shame. Crazy cat aliens? Yeah, what are they called? They're called the Arirals in Voices of the Void. They're like anime catgirls, but they're 7 feet tall. They have like they have 6 breasts, and I think they have 6 fingers on each hand, if I'm correct, and they have like really large webbed feet, and they walk around in like with like cloaked armor on, so you don't really see what they look like in the game at the moment, because the game is like in pre-alpha. And they just kind of mess with you and steal things from your base. And it's a really crazy idea. And like the Arirals, they have this entire lore behind them, how they're like from a oppressive dictatorship on their planet, and they're trying to escape the person ruling it and stuff, and like none of that has anything to do with your character. That's like a story to an entirely different game that you're just not even a side character, and you're like somewhere in the background while this entire plot is happening, which has nothing to do with you and never has anything to do with you, and you're just like not concerned or involved in any way. And I kind of like that, because it's just so weird and bizarre. I just looked it up. This is a very funny design. Yeah, it's great. I like how weird it is. And apparently the guy who makes Dr. Mr. Nose, I think his name is. They just call him Dr. Nose. The dev, Dr. Nose, apparently he designed them when he was like in high school, and it shows. And I'm kind of into that. I'm kind of just having these like really crazy alien designs that somebody made when they were in high school and had no idea how to make attractive or well-designed characters, and they just had this pure insane creativity, and then they grew up and they decided to use that exact design in their game. I mean, that's fantastic. It's really good. There's also the weird sexualized cat girl in TAS. What's TAS? Because I know TAZ is the Adventure Zone, but what's TAS? I'm trying to remember. I don't think I'm familiar with that one. Speaking of crazy alien designs, has anyone seen Space Dandy? I still need to see Space Dandy. I was thinking of being, like, I was very excited for Space Dandy because it's a Watanabe anime, but then I saw Tuesday and Carol that he made for Netflix, and I really disliked Tuesday and Carol. And there are certain things in Tuesday and Carol that kind of lowered my opinion of Watanabe as an anime director. And so Space Dandy kind of fell on the back burner for me, just because I was like, I don't know. You know, maybe Cowboy Bebop was more a product of the entire team more than it was just Watanabe as its director. Which seems to be the case, because apparently the writer for Cowboy Bebop, she worked on Tokyo Godfathers. TAS is in Star Trek, the animated series. Oh, okay, gotcha. Thank you for putting MatPat Pope in my search history. Yeah, that's a thing that happened. And yet, we joke, right? About haha, MatPat, send a copy of Undertale to the Pope. That's cringe. That's so crazy. Apparently, there's somewhere in the footage. I don't know whether it's just like a meme somebody made or if it's real, but there's like footage of a band playing one of the songs from the Undertale soundtrack for the Pope. It might have been a joke where they just added the music, the orchestra version of the song over the footage. But there was something like that. Maybe it was an Onion article or something, but I have a memory of that happening. Either way, that's an insane thing for MatPat to have done. It's just like a crazy thing. Space Dandy is a funny show. It's not the best. It's got issues, but it's funny. Sometimes that's fine. Sometimes that's all a show really needs to be. Hold on, I've got something in my eye. Do you think the Pope liked it? I don't know whether the Pope would have played it. I'm not sure how aware the Pope is of what a video game is. Then again, okay, how old is... I don't actually know how old the Pope is, and he was a chemist, wasn't he? He was like a biochemist or something. I know he worked in he worked in the chemistry field before he became, I think it's a cardinal or something, I don't know. I don't know much about the structure of the church. Shocker, I know. Do that. My eye is watering. There we go. Is that everything? Oh, look. Yes. Okay. Let's lock this. Oh, no, not new. I don't want to do that. There we go. Grab turnip pin. And do I want to color pick? Because she, well, maybe. This is very weird coloring here because she's got like all the ambient light on her. So this might be a little tricky to color pick from. I might have to trust my own abilities with picking colors. Hold on. Let me just mute. I just need to sniff because my eye is watering and it's causing problems. Okay, there we go. I'm back. I heard Los Del Rio performed for John Paul II, I think it is, as in the Macarena band. I have to look that up because it's one of those things where I read the article headline and I didn't look if it was a parody article or a meme or what it was, or if it was just like a funny video someone made. And I just read that and it said, you know, Pope plays whatever Undertale. And I just took it as fact. I just accepted that that's something that happened and didn't question it. Modern science fiction writers, oh no, there is something funny in my universe. It won't be taken seriously. Yeah, for real. That being said though, a friend of mine highly recommended, and I've actually bought them. I just need to sit and read them. I've got Children of Time that I need to read. And apparently that's very, very good. And I like it so far. I'm only on like chapter 2. And that seems pretty cool. And I need to get back to No Crystal Tears, which is a sci-fi novel from 1982. Which I've spoken about a few times. Which has the like mantis alien in it. Who for the moment is the main character. But I have a sad suspicion that once the humans show up, it's going to perspective switch to the humans instead, and I'm very sad about that. I can just feel it because I don't know whether in 1982 having an entire novel from the perspective of a bug is something that would have done well. The Pope should have played Shin Megami Tensei Nocturne instead. You guys have seen that commercial from G4, right? Where they blame Hurricane Katrina on Kingdom Hearts 2. It's really good. And like, we should vote for Shin Megami Tensei Nocturne instead. I keep trying to think how I can work that commercial into one of my videos, just because it's such an unhinged thing. So I like jokes where you just drop insane unhinged things out of nowhere and you leave the audience going, what the hell is the context for that? That reminds me of what Diamanda Hagen said about plain sci-fi costume design. It's the future. You don't know what it's going to be, so go nuts and be interesting. Yeah, well, she's right. I need to get back to watching Diamanda Hagen. I haven't watched her in a while. I really like her content. She's really, really funny. I like how she just doesn't give a crap about, like, anything. She's very down to earth. She's very like, nah. But it's also very clear she's very knowledgeable about what she's talking about. She's just not, like, pretentious about it. And I like the fact that she just covers, like, these insane topics of conversation. I respect that she just makes videos about movies that nobody has ever heard of and will ever watch in their life. And she's like, I'm going to review this and you're going to watch it. Why do the interesting aliens always get pushed over by less interesting humans? I don't know. I think it's in part because the people who own the business side of things, at least in the past, it's getting a little better these days, but they seem to think that people won't relate to characters unless they're like exactly like them, which is ridiculous to me, and might paint a rather uncharitable picture of the people in charge of like the marketing side of things, that you can't relate to something unless it's exactly like you, which, okay, that's a statement, but I think that's basically what it boils down to. They think that people won't want to play as anything else other than a representation of themselves. And video games had this problem for a very long time. That's why so rarely did you have like female characters as main characters, because the people in charge of marketing and stuff were convinced that only boys played video games and boys wouldn't want to play as a female main character, even though Lara Croft exists. So that's why it took a very, very long time for there to be female characters as main characters in video games. I hate that so much. I hate when people think that this heart. I appreciate the thought, YouTube, but it really messes with me having to read comments. I hate when people think that, like, dude, are you stupid? Oh my god, dude. Yeah, no, it's profoundly annoying. And also extremely untrue, because I don't know, I'm trying to think what I can compare it to that doesn't open up a can of worms. But the best I can think of that's just kind of straightforward is, look at anime, right? Anime, when anime started creeping over to the West in terms of release, not like wide release, but release of any kind, anime was never, ever, ever made for an English-speaking white Western audience at the time. It kind of is now, but in the 80s and 70s, it wasn't. It was made for a Japanese audience, from a Japanese culture. And yet, anime in the 70s and 80s became as popular as it's become because people in the West were able to relate to it, even though they were not the target audience and it was not made for them, and the characters were not meant to represent them at all. I don't understand who in YouTube team thought, yes, let's add a heart to obscure the live comments. Yeah, didn't Instagram like introduce that though? Like the heart that you can press and it makes like a stream of emojis. I think it was Instagram who introduced that. There we go. Samus Aran would like to have a word as well. She was there long before Lara Croft. Yeah, that's true. And like people will argue, well, dude players only like Lara because she's sexy, and it's like, well, yeah, but also Lara is cool. Like, Lara is legit a cool character. Because sure, she's sexualized and all of that, right? But it doesn't feel like she's degraded, if that makes sense. she's just kind of a cool, sexy, badass Tomb Raider, right? It's kind of like Indiana Jones. Indiana Jones is also a cool, badass Tomb Raider. It's just that Lara Croft is like the female version of what cool Tomb Raider would look like. For Indiana Jones, it's a guy with a fedora, I think it is, and a whip who goes into like dangerous ancient temples and steals relics and gets into fights and things with Nazis. And like the female version of that is like a hot, sexy woman who runs around in booty shorts and she dual wields pistols and she like fights all these supernatural nonsense things and is like kind of a female James Bond, I guess, while doing it. I don't know. It's just cool. I missed that about anime being made only for Japanese audiences. I actually highly agree. I was talking about that on Tumblr not that long ago, where I feel like a lot of anime has sandpapered away its identity of where it comes from in order to be more palatable towards Western audiences. And it's really like sad because I'll watch a modern anime and then I'll watch something from like the 80s and there's so much of Japan's cultural identity in the older anime that's just not present in the newer stuff. And I miss it. Like, it's not even my culture. And I genuinely miss that representation of where it comes from because it gives it this very unique air. And I'm actually interested in that representation of the culture that way. I want to see it on screen. I want to see where it's coming from. And it just seems like a lot of that is just completely missing in modern anime. And I won't even apply it to personality. It'll be the most superficial shit like hair color. I miss the... okay, I see what you mean. Yeah. People have been weird AF about Lara in the new games. Yeah. It just sounds like a mess. Because, like... I don't know, I would have to like really get into them to understand what the problem is. Because I want to say it seems like insecurity on the game devs' part, but I can't say that with any certainty. It just feels like a lot of back and forth where the devs are making mistakes because of X, Y, and Z. And then the people who criticize video games have like certain opinions about it. So they're saying X, Y, and Z. And it's just kind of a lot of nonsense. It's a lot of arguing and being self-conscious about things that is not worth being self-conscious about. The Critical Drinker actually did a breakdown a while back on why he thought Lara Croft was cool in the original games. And yes, she was sexy, but she was also genuinely cool and a badass. Yeah, and I can understand like the criticism of like, well, why does it always have to be like the strong, independent woman, right? And it's like, yes, that's annoying when that's the only thing that's available in female characters. But I feel like Lara, she has a personality, right? She is a strong character in her own right. I feel like she isn't a stereotype, if that makes sense. And maybe that's simply by the virtue of when she came out and the strong, independent woman thing in media wasn't as bloated as it became. But I don't know. I think Lara is cool. I genuinely think she's a cool character. Yes, she's shallow, but then again, she's no more shallow than like James Bond is, let's be honest. I mean, I wouldn't mind being a badass archaeologist who looks hot while doing it. Exactly. Exactly. You get to go to like interesting ancient locations. You get to steal treasure and you get to like look really awesome and hot while doing it. I mean, that's cool. But then again, I think the problem really just lies with the fact that a lot of people take things too seriously at the end of the day. Like, it's probably not even that deep. People make it out as if it's a lot deeper than it really is. When in reality, it's not really that deep. Everybody's just getting anxious for no reason. And they're like overthinking it in something in terms of like Lara Croft. There are games where you can like really dig into the representation of the female character as being possibly problematic or whatever. But with Lara Croft, I don't think that's the case. I think Lara just genuinely is a cool character. You're gonna have a strong, independent woman and write her as a character instead of a boring stereotype. Yeah. Example, Commander Shepard. And I know part of that is because Commander Shepard was not written with her being a female character in mind, and yet somehow she comes across as a much more interesting character when you play her as a female compared to the male version of Shepard. And they didn't do the whole thing where they wrote a completely different script for playing as a female character, a female version of Shepard. And you could blame that on like time and resources and whatnot, but it does result in just a good character. If you want a shallow badass character, look at Duke Nukem. Do we really want to look at Duke Nukem though? Is Duke Nukem really what we want to look at for any kind of poster child to anything? I'm gonna guess this is Maria from Sonic. You are correct, Robin, because we actually drew Sonic early. We drew Shadow earlier, but I didn't take very long drawing him, so I did a second drawing. And we were like, well, people in chat were like, well, if we did Shadow, let's do Maria. So we're doing Maria. And I was lamenting the fact that for the Sonic 3 movie, they didn't go with this character design at all. She kind of just looks like normal child. Which, sure, okay. But I do kind of wish they would commit to a character design as a character design. Like they did with like Jim Carrey as Dr. Robotnik. That is a character design. That is not just some guy. That is Dr. Robotnik. And I'm kind of sad that they didn't apply that heightened character design to Maria and just made her like normal child. Lara is sexualized, but it doesn't make her a bad character inherently. I feel the same way about 7 of 9 in Star Trek. I drew Dark Sonic. What was it? Shade the Hedgehog? Who's the Nothing Personnel kid? Is it Shade? I think it's Shade. Of the Nothing Personnel meme. I say meme, it's actually some kid's fan art from like the early 2000s. My Nando's is here? Nice. Do this. I know I can do the lighthouse trick. I think I said this before as well. I can do the lighthouse trick and just do the fill easily, but when you do it that way, it leaves a lot of gaps underneath the line art, and I don't actually like that. When I do cleanup for the studio, we actually go through great pains to counteract the leaving blank space beneath the line art. Luckily, I've got the pro version of TV Paint, so I don't have to worry about that as much, but people who don't have the pro version of TV Paint, they have to go in and do like black fill underneath the characters, and it's like a whole thing. It's really annoying. So if I do it this way in coloring the characters, it just kind of avoids there being a lot of gaps. Especially because I don't use a solid black pen. Like, I like this SU cream pencil that my friend gave me, and it's nice because it has some texture to it. But like all this texture underneath, if you have blank space underneath that, it causes massive headaches if you do anything more detailed than what I do on streams. Yeah. There you go. I mean, there's also the OC from Sonic Forces. That's a real nothing burger. Yeah. That's not even really a character though, is it? It's about as much of a character as the player character in Pokemon. And like the modern Pokemon. I'm thinking specifically of like the Sun and Moon version of the player character, who just has like this very blank expression on their face throughout the entire game. Sorry if I asked this once or twice, but Do you watch Draw Free? I don't. I think you might have asked before, but I also can't remember. Somebody else might have asked me. But I'm not super familiar with them, no. And then she has like a lighter blue, I saw that. I think I might have Googled. I might have looked them up on YouTube after you mentioned them, because the name definitely sounds familiar. And I've got like the visual of what the channel looks like in my head. So I looked them up, but I don't think I sat down and watched them though. I like Dookie Nukie. Funny as hell. I was trying to get, I don't know if Dana is still here. I was trying to get Dana to start watching Varg Skeletor, aka Joel. Because I've been watching a lot of him while I'm working. Specifically his Hard Time 3 streams. I've been rewatching those a lot. As well as his Voices of the Void streams. But it's caused the side effect of me like referencing his streams randomly. And if you don't watch Joel's streams, you have absolutely no idea what the heck I'm talking about. I mean, even less than usual. Speaking of, Dana actually told me, because I was saying to Dana that she should watch Joel's stream of mouthwashing, and Dana said I should watch the stream that Porcelain Maid did of mouthwashing, so I need to check that after the stream as well. Because Jacksepticeye also played it, but Jacksepticeye, it went completely over his head. I'm back, good timing. Apparently Jacksepticeye did not understand anything that was going on in mouthwashing, to a degree where it was like painful to watch. And Dana wasn't the only one who said that. My other friend also said she started watching Jacksepticeye's playthrough of it, and it became so painful she had to nope out eventually, just because he was not getting what the subject matter or story was about. But apparently Porcelain Maid did a very good playthrough. Joel, surprisingly, did a really good playthrough. I was kind of afraid to watch Joel's playthrough because I was worried that he'd just make it like a funny haha stream. But he actually right at the start said, guys, I know this is kind of a more serious subject matter, but he really wants to play the game. And he ended up loving it. He loved that game. So I was very happy that Joel took it seriously. And of course, Vinny is how I got introduced to the game. And Vinny's playthrough is just very good as well. And of course, now that I've seen mouthwashing, I'm extremely picky with whose playthrough of it I want to watch, because it's a little shocking how many people did not understand what the story was of mouthwashing. And it's not because it's difficult to understand. It's not overt, but it's also not hidden. It's quite deliberate in what's happening in it. And yet somehow there were a lot of people who were just almost unwilling to accept that that's what the story is. And it's a little shocking to me. And it's not just me who's noticed this. I saw lots of people talking about this online, where a lot of people who do Let's Plays and stuff almost seem to resist what the story was about, as their chat had to explain it to them. When I watch horror games, I generally watch Voidburger. He's great. I think the name Voidburger has been brought up. Somebody recommended Voidburger to me before. I need to check that out, because it stops me from watching garbage junk while I'm working. Because I don't like watching things I actually want to pay attention to while I'm working, right? Because I actually want to pay attention to them. So it ends up with me watching like video essays, or like I said, like playing Crash stuff or whatever. But if I don't have anything to watch, I will sometimes devolve into watching like garbage drama YouTube, just because it's the most brain dead content possible. So it's good for background noise. But I also think it might actually be like damaging towards my mental health to a degree. So I want having like good content and content creators to watch instead is actually very appreciated. There we go. Do this. There we go. What else? I think that's... Oh, I wanted to do her lips. I was about to say that I think that's it for her skin, but I was forgetting something. Do this. When I watch her... Oh, generally... Voidburger, she's great. She gave her approval of Silent Hill 2 Remake, which says a lot as she loves the OG. Yeah, like, genuinely, I was shocked with how good the remake is. And I'm happy. Like, I'm not one of those people where I predicted it to be awful, and then when everybody said it was great, I stuck to the narrative that no, it's actually awful. I am exceptionally happy to be wrong about that game. Because I do actually want a good game. I prefer a good game more than I prefer being right about something. I see that one's also up for a few Steam Awards, so I hope it wins at least one. But just like the movies, horror games are a little bit difficult when it comes to awards. Because I want to say it's a niche genre, maybe not so much in video games. But I do know that it doesn't... I feel like horror games don't get as nominated as action games and RPGs and stuff. I really need to check out when the Game Awards are because now I'm curious. This has been one of those years where, even though it's not that it went by fast, and even though I am aware of the fact that it's December already, etc., it's still kind of weird to be like, oh right, awards season is coming. Oh right, the video game awards are going to happen. Like all of that stuff that happens at the end of the year. For some reason, a lot of that completely slipped my mind, that that's also a bunch of stuff that's going to start coming about. And the video game awards are one of them, because I do actually like watching the video game awards. I know, like, we all complain and groan about it, and we complain that it's mostly commercials for things that are coming, etc., etc. But I do kind of like it. I like that there is the awards ceremony for video games, and I like that it's this big event. And I don't know, maybe it's just because I like big events like that. I like a big show, right? So I'm just happy that there is one for video games. Point is, I do actually want to watch the video game awards, if for nothing else than the live performances, because the live performance for the Death Stranding theme song is still one of my favorite things I've ever seen. I haven't even played Death Stranding, and that performance of that song is insane. That, I'd argue it's definitely not a niche genre, but it's difficult to do right. Yeah. Maybe that's why we don't see it as often at Game Awards and things, is because, as you said, it's difficult to get right. And a lot of times, it doesn't get done right. Oops. There we go. Here we go, and then I just want to get some blue in her iris, because I like doing that. Too big. There we go. Okay, I'm just going to put some highlights and shading on her hair, and then I think I'm actually going to call it, because it's... Oh no, I kind of want to do shadow here, just so it's clear what's happening here. Okay, I'll do that, and then I will call it, because it's getting rather late. And I'm liking the synthwave mix that I got up for the Donkey Kong music. It's pretty good. Again, I've linked it in the description, so go check them out. One thing, not to get into the topic of AI or anything like that, because it's exhausting, but one thing that's really annoying, how AI has kind of screwed up my life, is I hate trying to find music on YouTube these days, because so much of it is like these mixes and things. A lot of it will be people who just kind of they generate AI created slop, and then they'll use AI created thumbnails, and then they'll just make like a 4-hour 3-hour quote unquote mix, and there's just a bunch of like AI generated nonsense, and I'm like, I really don't want to listen to this or use this. It's really not my bag at all. And it's just kind of become annoying trying to wade through that nonsense on YouTube. I know that's not like an end of the world thing, but it is one thing that AI has done to make my life harder. Okay, then I'm gonna add, I don't want to lose this. And then I will, add a little bit of highlight, and then I'll use the brush I have for hair highlights and add like a proper highlight. Go here, use the, I forget, I don't know what this is called. I think it's like finger paint or something. Do that, do that. Do that. I've been a fan of Silent Hill my teens. I don't want to see the series die. Yeah, that's a rough one. But what was it? I think, again, I'm trying to think what I've said to my friends and what I've mentioned on stream. Because sometimes those two overlap and then I don't remember who I said to watch. But I remember we were talking about Bethesda at some point. And I said that I used to want Bethesda to do a remake of Morrowind. And these days I'm just like, I don't want Bethesda to do a remake of Morrowind, just leave it alone. And I think that's me and Silent Hill as well. I actually really like the remake. I think it's really good and fantastic. But at the same time, I don't really want Konami to make more Silent Hill games. I really don't. I don't even know, hot take, but I don't even know if I would have liked Kojima making a Silent Hill game, because Kojima, he makes such wild narratives. I don't know whether his style of storytelling would have really gelled well with Silent Hill. It might have been a little bit too esoteric the way he tells stories to work with Silent Hill, which I know sounds crazy because Silent Hill is so much symbolism, but at the same time, I was considering maybe getting Death Stranding on the Steam sale, and I saw somebody review it and say it's a good game, etc. Just don't try and pay much attention to the story. Nobody knows what the story is about. We don't even know if Kojima knows what the story is about. And that's a funny thing to say, but I think that when it comes to something like Silent Hill, that is actually a problem. Like, Silent Hill, you kind of need a very strong focus of what your story actually is in order to do the symbolism right. Otherwise, you end up with something like Silent Hill 4, or people might get upset if I say this, but Silent Hill 3, some of the symbolism in Silent Hill 3 I feel was a little underbaked. I like Silent Hill 3 because I really like Heather, but I feel the symbolism is kind of a victim of a lot of meddling by what Konami wanted that game to be and what they didn't want it to be and what they didn't want them to include and stuff like that. I follow a few channels for AI music, but they're deliberately funny, like Band Vinyl and Granddad's Old Records. Yeah, like, that's fine, but I mean, like, the actual, like, mixes, it's just really annoying to have to deal with that nonsense. I'm going to use this one again. I really like this brush. It's not one that comes default with Clip Studio. You have to download it from the asset store. But it's so useful for doing hair and clothing. Yeah, I did want to blur it a little bit. Yeah, like that. And just blur the ends here as well. Don't want to add anything else. This is looking very flat, so I'm just gonna throw this on there. Then it should be fine. And then I'll put her next to Shadow. Oops. Ah, it's a little dark. Hold on. There we go. Okay, great. And then I'm going to blur this as well. There we go. Okay. And I think I'm going to call it there. So now, how do we... Because I've kind of cut off her wrists. So how can I... Oh, I know what I can do. I can add a border. Go here. Oh. How do I do this? Go to white. Go here. Do that. Then go select all. No, not... Well, save, yes. Select all, and then say shrink selection by, I don't know, 20 pixels? That's not enough. Shrink, oh no, that's expand. Shrink by, okay, if 20 is so small, I'm going to say 100. Maybe even smaller. Shrink it by 100 again. And then hit delete. So there we've got our border. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a folder, put everything in the folder, unlock this, put everything in the folder, go onto shadow, go edit, change canvas size. So width, it's 3508, so that's 6, that's 7. 7016, I think. So, oh no, yeah, why am I doing maths when I can just do this? Go, oh no, this isn't gonna work. What is it? No. Cancel. Edit, canvas size, centimeter. That's not gonna help me either. I wish there was a way just to tell it to do it like twice the size. Okay, well, just gonna make this 60. It'll be easier. Now I'm going to put... Oh, did I accidentally hit it with the paint bucket? No, I didn't. Okay. So I'm going to make a folder, and I'm going to put all of shadow in that one. Oh, I hate it that it does that. Okay, I'll deal with that in a second. One thing I hate about folders in Clip Studio Paint, once you put something in a folder, it only affects things that are in the folder, which is really frustrating because sometimes I want an effect to actually affect everything, not just in the folder. But I can't do that if I want to organize things into folders. Maybe there's a setting to be able to turn that off or something, but it's just kind of really frustrating. Go here, grab Maria's folder, copy, paste. You can move Maria all over. Actually, I think I want to flip her. Scale rotate, flip horizontal. There we go. And now I will grab the border, duplicate that, put it here, move it over, okay, there's, do I want to keep the gap in the middle or not? I'm not sure. Hey Cpuff, how are you doing? Hey Sir Dingus, Morrowind is cracked. Have you played The Elder Scrolls 3 MP? Having 10 people running around Varden fell sick. That sounds insanely chaotic. I think I want to do this. Oh, you know what? I don't even need to do it that complicated. I can just do it with the pen tool. Or not even the pen tool, just use this. Put it to like 100. And just do that. There we go. And for background, what I'm going to do, this is a massive cheat. But this is kind of just to finish it off. I'm going to grab a stock image. I've got a few from NASA here. So go to references. Wait for that to load. Silent Hill 3 is my favorite in the series, partly because Heather, Vincent, and Claudia are my favorite characters in the series. That's the thing, like, Heather elevates Silent Hill 3. I think Silent Hill 3 would have kind of been disastrous if Heather wasn't as good of a character as she is. Which one of these would work? I know you guys can see it. I'm just going through my stock images here from NASA. Maybe this one. It's a bit busy, but we'll see if it works. So copy that. Go here. Paste. Oh, it's very small. Hold on. Do that. That's good. And now what we'll do... wait for it to apply that. Maria picture taken moments before disaster. Also, I see I need to do this on this side as well. Okay, there we go. And what I'm going to do now is going to throw another one. I'm going to put it to, let's say, linear light. And then we'll do this. We'll just make it a really dark color. Go to gradient. Ah, I had it in the wrong layer. A really dark color. Do this. And then we go a very light color. Here. And do this. And now I think I want to add another layer. Make it, it's kind of already this kind of mauve color. So we can do that. Throw that on. And then we just kind of turn it like that. And then we duplicate the stock image. And then set it to origin blur. Is 6 enough? Hold on. No, 6 isn't enough. Make it stronger. Come on, load. Okay, it doesn't want to load for me, so I'm just going to assume that will be enough. Just hit apply. Hi, I just woke up and it's 5 a.m. here. It is midnight here. Oh yeah, that's a good amount of blur. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to set this to 50%. Okay, there we go. And now what I'm going to do is I think I'm first going to hit save. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to merge the layers for Shadow and Maria. Because I want to throw a thing around them. So merge selected layers, Shadow. Let's get rid of this one, put it there, close that. Duplicate layer. Merge selected layers, put that there. Merge with layer below. Go here. Go stroke. Make the stroke bigger. And then turn it down. Turn it down to maybe like that. We can make it a bit smaller then. There we go. And I think that is that. You should have a picture of the arc, maybe, but I don't want to just copy and paste. I know I just used a stock image, but I feel a stock image is at least one step above using like a video game screen cap, because I'm always worried like how free to use is a video game screen cap in that sense, because a NASA stock image, all of NASA's photos are free to use. NASA is perfectly okay with people using that, whereas like a video game screen cap, it feels a little bit too close to like art theft in a way. And maybe I'm just overly sensitive towards that, because when I was like 12 or something, I got in trouble because I didn't really understand how art on the internet works. So stupid 12-year-old me would use screen caps as backgrounds, and I got in trouble on this one art website for it. This was way before DeviantArt. So I'm always like, oh, I guess I can't do that. So that is my reason for simply using the stock image. I was so disappointed by what they did with Vincent in the movie. Oh, you mean in the Silent Hill movie? Yeah, we don't really talk about the Silent Hill movies. I find the horror to be more effective in Silent Hill 3 than 2, but of course 2 has the better narrative. Yeah, I find, to me, the horror story in Silent Hill 2 speaks to me a lot more than Silent Hill 3, ironically. But I was never fully interested in the cult storyline. The cult storyline of Silent Hill just wasn't really what interested me in it. The things that I found interesting about Silent Hill is the symbolism side of it, which was more prevalent in Silent Hill 2. Kind of, if you'll notice a pattern with me, I like Utena, and Utena has a lot of symbology and stuff like that as well. And mouthwashing has a lot of like symbology and stuff in that as well. So that's kind of something I really enjoy in stories. Not when it gets too insane about it, but to a certain level, I'm a big fan of that kind of thing. So that's also kind of why Silent Hill 2 just hits me the right way. He's supposed to be a weirdo, not a semi-love interest played by Jon Snow. I forgot that's who Vincent is in the movie. Good Lord. The amount of not getting the character that takes is borderline next level. I forgot that's who Vincent was in the movie. Oh, Lord. Now, if it were Nintendo, I'd 100% agree. I missed... and Andrea, I'm a little missing what you mean, because you talk about Jon Snow and then you say Maria's hair especially, so I'm not sure if something got lost there. Oh, but you guys like Maria? I'm glad. I struggled a little bit, but it's fine. It's the end of the day. I've been animating all day, so I think my drawing brain is just like, enough, please, let's just go to bed. So it came out pretty good. But again, I think like not getting something perfect on stream right away is kind of fine, because I feel like sometimes people who are just kind of getting into art, or they feel they're not at the skill level that they want to be, they often tune into like art streams, and I think they often expect the artist that they are watching stream to just put down a picture perfectly. So, oh, I meant your art. Oh, thank you. So if you see somebody not get it right, even though they're like a professional artist, at least I take solace in the fact that it just shows that you can be like an actual artist who does this for a living and still be like, oh, this didn't turn out so well. Oh, well, we move forward. It's fine. But I'm glad you guys like. Okay, this music is still going, so that's fine. Shadow is better than any High Guardian Spice character. Change my mind. You're not wrong. You are not wrong. For as silly as his character is, and how he's basically Vegeta's persona, he's still legit an interesting character, and he is far beyond anything that High Guardian Spice could have done. Even though a lot of Sonic characters, they barely have personalities, quite frankly. Sometimes I wonder, like, this sounds insulting, but I don't mean it that way. Sometimes I wonder how Sonic has fans, because to me it doesn't seem like Sonic the character has a personality beyond like the most surface level one-dimensional traits. Shadow has a lot more going on, so I can understand how people like his character. But I'm often confused how people like Sonic, simply because I'm not entirely sure what the appeal is, because I don't feel like his character has a lot of depth. And again, I tend to overthink things, so maybe I'm just overthinking things. Maybe people just like that he's cool, and he runs fast, and he has a really good art design, and he lives in this very strange, like, sci-fi fantasy world, which is not very well defined. And maybe that's all it is, and maybe that's all it really needs to be. But I do often wonder, like, how people are, like, massive big fans of him when there doesn't really seem to be a personality. Again, it's very strange as an outsider looking in. That's one thing the movies did right, though. I feel like the movies did a good job, like, fleshing out his character into something that's actually is a character. Everyone wonders how Sonic has fans. No, I understand how the Sonic franchise has fans. I'm just not entirely sure why people are as obsessed with Sonic the character as they are sometimes, because there doesn't seem to be much there. There are other characters in the Sonic universe which do have substance to them, but it's just a little odd to me. Shadow, I understand. Shadow makes 100% sense to me. I get it completely. Bunny Rabbit, that one I also understand. I understand Bunny, why she has fans. I can even understand Knuckles having fans, because even though Knuckles also has a one-trait personality, at least there's like backstory there, and you can kind of work with the foundation that's going on there. Sonic, I don't really understand. I don't fully understand what the appeal is to the personality. I do understand what the appeal is with the character design, and I do understand what the appeal is with the world. It's just, you know, it's interesting to me. And again, I don't mean that insultingly. I mean that because I'm curious. It's something that I wish somebody would make like a video essay on and like explain the appeal of Sonic the character to somebody who is neutral about the franchise, who doesn't hate it, but isn't like a diehard fan and kind of liked Sonic as a child and then kind of grew out of it. Because I'm genuinely interested, and I really would like somebody who's a fan of Sonic to explain it to me, because I would like to know. I'm interested. Somebody said nostalgia. I don't think it's just nostalgia though. I think it's more to it than that. I was surprised to find there was a Sonic fan base, because I thought there hadn't been a decent game since the 90s. Yeah, but bro, there's like a thriving Danny Phantom fandom. And the Danny fandom is like a juggernaut in terms of like content, the stuff they make. And what's funny about them is that the Danny fandom they are the first group of people who will tell you that the cartoon is just kind of mid. Like the Danny fandom will be the first people who be like, yeah, the cartoon isn't really that good. So no, I understand how the fandom exists. That's not what is interesting to me. What's interesting to me is what the appeal is of Sonic himself. I think his cool and sort of rebellious and snarky attitude is what got people. I do not like how he is characterized in the Boost era. I mean, I can see that. That I can understand. It just seems to me like there's a lot more to it that people latch onto. But again, maybe I'm overthinking it and that really is all there is to it. And, I mean, that's fine. It's just, again, it's an interesting topic of discussion that I think would be very, very interesting to listen to have a Sonic fan explain it to me. Because, again, it's not that I'm sitting here rolling my eyes saying like, I don't get it, explain it to me. No, I'm genuinely interested. It's a fascinating topic of conversation to me. Sonic's personality has all 90s attitude. Yeah, I guess so, but you can find that in other places as well. Although I suppose that the art design does a lot of heavy lifting in that aspect, because it's the personality, but then it's also the really cool art design. Because Sonic has a great design. Like, Sonic is a really good character design. I was into it at the time. Yeah. I mean, I love Cream the Rabbit, but her personality is just cute girl. Yeah. Fair. I'm not the one to ask. I'll still defend the first Bubsy game. Oh dear. That does bring up an interesting conversation, like why Sonic and not Bubsy? And there's lots of reasons why. One of them is Bubsy's design isn't very good, but also Bubsy is profoundly annoying. But it does kind of make you wonder, why Sonic out of all like the 90s Attitude Era? Why Sonic? Again, it's an interesting topic of conversation that I wish somebody who cared more about Sonic would make a essay about, because I would genuinely be interested to read it. It's entirely nostalgia. I don't think it is. I think there's more to it. I'm convinced there has to be more to it. I'm gonna guess Sonic is cooler, maybe. Also, Bubsy games are just not good. Yeah, but you could argue that about Sonic as well. Let's be honest. Sonic has good games. He has Sonic 1, 2, and 3, Sonic CD. I'm not going to say Sonic Adventure because I played that at some point as an adult out of curiosity, and it's not a good game. I'm very sorry, it's not a good game at all. There I can accept the argument of nostalgia, but it's the part I had the most fun with the Sonic Adventure game is playing the Nights into Dreams pinball game at the casino in the game. That is where I spend most of my time with that game, is just playing pinball, because I like the Night soundtrack. I think it's very good. I meant it's nostalgia for Bubsy. Okay, no, fair. That is the only reason I can understand anybody liking Bubsy is nostalgia. Sonic Adventure 1 and 2 are definitely aged. Yeah. Sonic Adventure 1 at least has like personality. It's not a dull game. I can never accuse it of being like dull or boring or not having any identity to it. I just think it really doesn't play very well. Sonic has at least one good game. But yeah. Yeah, I think Sonic Adventure is also... Sorry, I'm leaning on my mic. Sonic Adventure is a game... I think that game also gets by entirely on its vibe, I suppose. Like the personality that it has. Oh, thank you for the super chat, Indigo. I didn't know you were back. I went to bed for a nap. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, the technical issues. I ate up all of my mom's phone data. I almost said data. Star Trek. I ate up all of my mom's phone data. And then I was freaking out and I was planning to reschedule. And I put up a community post saying I'll reschedule. And then when I walked back to my laptop, it had miraculously reconnected despite me restarting it 4 times. And it just telling me cannot connect to this network. And Googling the problem and them saying that, oh, there's a driver problem. You have to reinstall the driver. And then, of course, when I walked back into my room after freaking out and being like, oh shit, I have to reschedule for tomorrow. It just miraculously fixed itself. And the stream reconnected. And I was like, okay, I guess we're still streaming. The only Sonic game I ever played was the one where he's a werewolf for some reason. Yeah, that. The one where there's an enemy that literally does nothing but look cute and scream when you kill it. And I had to kill them to progress and it made me feel bad. Lord. Sonic games are often a fever dream. There's so many of like the modern Sonic games where... like what on earth? And it's one of those things, and I say this in the Magnifica review about some things, where I'm like, why though? I mean, I understand why, but why? I understand the explanation, but still, why? Machines are the devil's work, I swear. Yeah. What time is it? Oh, you know what? It's 7 minutes to 1 a.m. So I'll hang out for another 7 minutes and we'll make it a nice round number for no reason specifically. So, does anyone remember Glover? There is an enemy in that with the best name, the little round bad guy. I never played Glover, but I'm aware of Glover. There was a game, I had the demo for it on DOS, I think. And it had the best name for a weapon I'd ever seen in my life, and I stand by it to this day that it's a great name. What it is essentially is a bomb, and you place it down in the area, and all the enemies around it will run up to it and stand and stare at it until it explodes and kills all of them. And the name of the bomb was literally called in-game the most interesting bomb in the world. And I don't even remember what the game's title is, but I will forever remember the most interesting bomb in the world, which literally all it does is it makes the enemies run up to it and then they explode. And it's fantastic. It's so good. Literally remember nothing else about that game except that part. Genesis had so many good platformers, Rice Star and Dynamite Heady for life. I know Rice Star has also really good character designs in it. I actually really like the way that looks, and I like the sprites because they've got a really high frame rate for no reason. Like, they're really animated and they look really good, and I don't really know why. That game has one weird gimmick. If you played it at any difficulty above easy, when you stood on the ball and moved, the controls were reversed. Is that Glover? Because that sounds like Glover. I want to play that game now. Yeah, I wish I could remember what it was called. I saw somebody review it recently, and I was like, oh, that's the game with the most interesting bomb in the world. And I still can't remember what it's called. It's because it's got a name like MKX and then a bunch of numbers or something. I know that the parachute your character has in that game is also not a parachute. It's like a bunch of looped, I don't even know what they are. These like looped tentacles that come out your back and like break the windfall as you're falling. A quick search says game may be MDK from 1997. Yeah, that's it. That's it exactly. It's MDK. You see why I don't remember the name. I mean, how am I supposed to remember that? Especially me, it's terrible at names. But no, that's the one. MDK. I don't remember whether the game is good. I don't think it is. And again, I only had the demo and it ended after the most interesting bomb in the world. But hell if it didn't make an impression on me. Because I still remember it. I want to play that game. Give it a chance. I don't know how good it is. But MDK2 has an automatic toaster as a weapon. Oh, that's good. That's very good too. It sounds like things that would go on to be used in like American McGee's Alice. Where Alice has like a really bunch of cool weapons and they're all based on children, like Victorian children's toys. I always thought that was very cool. I don't know that one. Yeah, this was from like way back in the day. I was really young when I had that demo. Because I think I had that and I had the demo for the first Wolfenstein and I played like the first level over and over again. I think we had the first level for Duke Nukem, but I don't remember playing that much. I mainly played Wolfenstein. I would recommend a video by Accursed Farms on Sonic Heroes about the characterization of Sonic. Oh, you know what? That's a good idea. Because is it Accursed Farms or Cursed Farms? Accursed Farms. Accursed Farms is somebody whose opinion I value. Even if I don't agree with it, I still value the opinion because I think he's a cool guy and I think he knows what he's talking about. Let's close all of these tabs. Wait for that to load. You want really funny weapon names? Look no further than the Worms series. Oh yeah, no, Worms is top tier. Come on, YouTube, load. And Accursed Farms. I'm just gonna type this in while I remember. Accursed Farms, Sonic Heroes. So I'll check that out after the stream. That could be interesting. I still only remember the Sonic that was played by Urkel. That's such a way to put it. I know exactly what you mean, but that's such a way to put it. Oh yeah, the Sonic played by Urkel. You're right. But did you have to put it that way? Jaleel White does a really good Sonic though. Like, no joke. He was legit in that role. The Gaming Brit Show did a review of MDK a few years ago. Seems like fun. Oh, okay. I know something came past me reviewing it again, but it was just on my recommended and then it disappeared again and I never saw it. Never forget Chili Con Carnage and the Holy Hand Grenade. The Holy Hand Grenade is from Monty Python though. Like, it's legit, they just used it and it's from Monty Python. And I am going to start saying goodnight. I am going to play the song that I wanted to use for the intro as the outro. Because again, I was so anxious to actually get online that I missed the intro. So I'm going to say goodnight. A random question, are you still watching Brigadoon? I didn't know how to tell you that shit hits the fan and becomes more like Madoka or something. I am enjoying it. I mentioned it earlier in the stream where I watched up until like episode 15. And then I put it down to watch one episode or something else and I haven't gotten back to it yet. And I don't know why I do that. I don't know why I can't just stick with something until I finished it. And I wish I had an answer for why. But I do like it. There's some questionable stuff in it, but it's anime. You get over it and you watch it. And I really, really like what I've seen so far. It like the parts that are good about that show are so good. And I really think it's great. I think it's a really, really cool series. But I'm going to say goodnight, and I'm going to leave you with the music. And thanks for hanging out. Sorry about the technical issues, but we survived, so it's all good. It's transition to ending. And I'll see you guys next month. I hope you have... Oh, well, Thanksgiving's over. But I hope you guys have a good Christmas. I don't know whether I'll see you before or after Christmas. We'll see. And I shall check you later. Bye, guys.
room over here? What's in this room over here? What's in this room over here? What's in this room over here?